Hello everybody, welcome to the second half of the 2022 DTM season. We've come to the Nürburgring for the fifth event of what's been a fascinating championship season so far. Of course, the area and the region famous for the Nordschleife, nicknamed the Green Hell by Jackie Stewart in 1970. But in 1984, the Grand Prix circuit was built. The first ever race was called the Race of Champions. It featured F1 champions and other world-class champions in motorsport. And the first race here ever was won by a young Ayrton Senna. DTM has been coming here since the year 2000. There's only one other circuit, Hockenheim, that's held more DTM races since. This is where we will begin the second half of our journey into finding out who will become this year's champion. My name's Chris Hartley. Welcome back to the Nürburgring. But as you can see, we've already had a delayed start. The cars are still on the grid. A decision coming up, but very much we've still got this fog. So a long wait for the drivers and teams. They're down on the grid, and to give us some more information and get the latest news, let's get some insight now down on the grid. We can hear from Verena Riet.
Hello there. So here we are in the pit stand with the team principal of Abt, Thomas Biermeier. And usually at this time, you're not as relaxed, but now obviously with a huge delay, it's, you know, all you can do is chill right now and hope that we're going to start, right?
Yes, correct, but it's still foggy, I would say, and I'm not so optimistic that we can start in the next 15-20 minutes.
Unfortunately, but who knows? We're crossing our fingers. We've been doing that for the past over an hour. And now looking at the stands, I mean, it's the second half of the season starting now with the Nürburgring, and for you it's looking good. I mean, we've got 8 more races to go, so what's your expectation for the second half of the season?
Yeah, clearly we are so close now with René 10 points behind Mirko Bortolotti. Our target is always to fight for the championship, and now we need a good start into the second half of the season, and we were hoping to start already now on Saturday, but we will see. But we want to win some races, and at the end we want to win the championship.
Absolutely, and it's 8 races to go, but I think the DTM this year again shows we've got so many cars, so many drivers, so many teams, but it's so competitive, isn't it?
Yeah, especially here. Yesterday we had, I think, 26 cars in 7 tenths. It's unbelievable. So you need a good driver, you need a good team, you need some good strategy, good pit stops, and at the end you need some luck to score good points and to be consistent in the next 8 races. And we will see how we will manage it.
It's going to be exciting, that's for sure. So we're going to go down there to try to grab some drivers, and now let's hope that we will go racing. So thank you so much, Thomas. And here's your commentator.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Yeah, Chris Hartley here in the commentary box, overlooking the circuit, overlooking the grid. We're not seeing much of it, I'm afraid. And since we were last on air, I'm not sure that it's particularly cleared anymore. So very difficult. Normally, I mean, the locals were saying when we arrived this morning, you know, you normally get to about 12 o'clock. It takes the morning for it to clear when it's like this. But obviously that has long since passed. We're only 10 minutes away from 3 o'clock in the afternoon now. And yeah, I mean, it is better than it was when we arrived this morning. You really couldn't see even across the width of the circuit, the width of the start line earlier on today. But it is not much better. And it's a massive shame, as lots of the drivers have said, for all these fans that have turned up in their great numbers to watch what's meant to be the 5th weekend of the season. If we did get a race start, because we didn't have qualifying, that was cancelled. Everything was cancelled this morning. We've not had a single car on track, a race car at least this morning or this afternoon so far today. Because that happened, the rule is that you start the grid based on the championship positions. So if we do get a start with Mirko Bortolotti as the points leader, that would start on pole position. 89 points. Of course, if there had been a qualifying session, he would have got 3 points for qualifying on pole, but because there wasn't, he doesn't get any points added on, so he stays on 89 with Kelvin Vandalinder, who was the championship leader before a disastrous weekend a few weeks ago at the Nürburgring, dropping down to 2nd place in the championship, and René Rast 3rd in the championship standings on his return to the series after a year away, in which he concentrated on Formula E, which he will be racing it again next year, but with a new McLaren team, and also announcing that he's going to be a BMW driver after a dozen years as an Audi driver from 2023 onwards. And you heard from Thomas Biermar, the team principal of Team Abt, who've had good success this year with René Rast, even though he didn't score a single point in the first weekend of the season at Portimao. They've had a race win with Ricardo Feller, who's looked very good, but has had some bad luck as well. And I'm afraid lots and lots of bad luck for their other driver, Kelvin Vandalinder, the driver that pushed so hard for the title last year and finished third in the standings. Well, he's only 13th in the points halfway through the season. He was on pole position for that first race at the Nürburgring. He actually survived all the carnage at Turn 1, the big pile-up, and lots of cars getting wiped out there, but had, unfortunately, contact later on in the race, and Mirko Bortolotti, who'd been put to the back of the grid because he failed to show up for the driver weigh-in at the end of qualifying. He forgot to do so, much like Tommy Preining had done the weekend before at Imola. Had started at the back of the grid. He was trying to charge through, and he had some contact with Ricardo Feller and Kelvin Vandalinder, and that was what put ultimately Kelvin out of the race, and a disastrous weekend for him as well. Team-wise, Schubert Motorsport lead the team's championship on 111 points. The Grasser Racing team, GRT, who have had this great success in their first season in the championship with Mirko Bortolotti. He's leading the Drivers' Championship. They're second in the team standings on 87 points. And Abt Sportsline, who've won many multiple driver and team championships in DTM, they are third on 81 points, just a single point ahead of their long-term rivals in the DTM over the last few years. Team Rosberg, who of course took René Rast to his early championship titles. There then is one of the Schubert Motorsport BMWs, still undercover, the bright red and yellow machine of Sheldon Vandalinder, who has yet to score a podium finish here at the Nürburgring, but has had a couple of decent top six finishes. A fourth and a sixth are his best here, and he'll be hoping to have a get back up and running after the championship, which had looked so good up until that weekend at the Nürburgring. Came off the rails a little bit, but that was the story for a lot of the drivers. So if we do get racing, and there's a question mark, of course, over that at the moment, it's going to be tough for these drivers because they've had 2 free practice sessions in dry conditions. Most of them were out testing a week ago in very hot, dry conditions, and yet we've got this fog, this drizzle, this slightly damp circuit. Nobody really has a setup for today based on anything they've done leading up to this. The grid is, you can't exactly call it mixed up because it's based on championship positions, but it is potentially mixed up in terms of who has been quick so far this weekend. For example, Felipe Fraga struggled yesterday in free practice. He had a transponder that wasn't working in the first free practice session and wasn't particularly quick in free practice too. Neither of the Ferraris were, in fact. But he's going to be starting 6th on the grid if we do get a race start because of his championship position. Ferrari, though, did get a win here last year with Alex Albon. It was his only win in the DTM season, but they got a victory here. So the AF Corsa team, Amato Ferrari's team, ought to be quick around here. There is Felipe Fraga's Red Bull liveried Ferrari on the right of the picture. Lucas Auer to the left as well. We heard from him on the grid on our first transmission, and he's, I'm afraid, been struggling a little bit for pace as well. So frustrating, a lot of waiting around for the teams, for the mechanics as they're on the grid. Only a couple of years ago that at the Nürburgring 24-hour race in its traditional slot of May, we lost about 7 or 8 hours in the end, maybe more, to a fog delay. But you really do not expect to get that at this time of year. We've had wet races here at this time of year. We've had mixed weather. We've also had brilliant bright sunshine, but it is, I'm afraid, what it is, and the organisers doing their very, very best to give everybody watching on TV and watching at home online, and B, of course, all the fans that have made their trip here to be in the grandstands the best chance to see some racing by delaying the start as long as possible. Martin Tomczyk, former if you can see him, he's there, promise. Former DTM champion, who's very much involved behind the scenes these days, particularly with the DTM trophy, but it's elevated into looking after the whole DTM media and grid platform in the last week or so. So he's going to be a busy chap, still very much involved in proceedings in the DTM. So Mirko Bortolotti and Sheldon Vandalinder would be the front row of the grid. René Rast behind. Nico Muller, who had a difficult weekend at the Nürburgring as well, would be starting 4th ahead of Auer and Fraga. And of course, Kelvin Vandalinder, who'd been pretty good in the 2 free practice sessions, top 10 in both. you can't always tell exactly what's going on in free practice on Friday, but he looked pretty rapid in the Audi, and of course, annoyingly for him, he doesn't get a qualifying, doesn't get to show his pace, and because the championship position is not good, he would have to start this race then again from 13th on the grid. The forecast for tomorrow is that it's going to be okay. It's going to be 23 degrees. It's going to be pretty bright. It's going to be dry. There's no forecast of fog, but then again, this wasn't forecast either. So we had lots of... All the conversation yesterday in practice was, are we going to get a wet qualifying session? Because there was a thought there was going to be some overnight rain and possibly some early morning rain today, which never quite materialised. It was very dark towards the end of yesterday, and there were 1 or 2 spots of rain in the air, but the grey skies never quite dumped a load of rain. There's a little bit here and there, but nothing massive. So no signs of movement on the grid yet. All sorts of Michelin tyres are ready to go. Looks a bit greasier than it did an hour ago, because it's not exactly raining, but it's all this mist in the air, all this moisture in the air from the fog that we've got. It's definitely left a bit of drizzle and left a bit of moisture on the circuit, but it's not fully wet either. So if we get to the start and we get to the stage where we're going to start the race, that's another headache, another decision they're going to have to make. All this time hanging around, waiting around, and suddenly it'll all kick into life if it does get going again. Anyway, still providing plenty of music and entertainment on the grid is our DJ. He's always smiling, so he's trying to keep them going. So he's got just about the most action of anybody on the grid today. Let's see if there's any more news, though, because Vereena's found her way down onto a very foggy grid.
Absolutely, it's still very foggy, it's still wet, and Nico Müller is here with me. And Nico, what are you guys all doing? I mean, I found you here. I guess you're all just relaxing and trying to pray for good weather.
Exactly, yeah, we cannot do much more. I mean, we've updated our social media, we're trying to keep the people out there somewhat entertained, but starting to get a bit difficult. We don't really see an improvement at the moment in terms of the fog being as thick as it was all day long, so that's a new thing for me as well. I mean, up here, yeah, you're used to see fog in the mornings, but late like this in the afternoon, it's a first for me. So, yeah, not great, but we're staying positive. We hope we can have a race later on. I've had a few espressos, but maybe next option is a nap, I don't know, and then we'll try again later on.
Yeah, we're just seeing pictures of the weather, of the fog on the track, and I guess the safety car is going to go out and check it out, but you're not really optimistic about the safety car saying, "Ooh, let's do this, let's have some action."
When I look down here towards turn 1, not really, to be very honest, but you never know. Maybe we have some luck. Maybe the weather gods of the Eifel will be kind to us. Never know. I'm trying to stay positive, but at the moment I don't expect a race within the next half an hour.
So this is really what you do. You guys chat with the team, you have an espresso, you try to chill, and really some are also napping?
Well, I guess so. I don't know. I didn't go and check, but I feel like a nap now, so maybe that's what's coming next.
All right, so we'll see. We're going to have a look around here. Thank you so much, Nico. And till I find someone else, here's your commentator.
Thanks, Vereena. Doing a great job catching the drivers. Of course, this is difficult for them as well, isn't it? Because they're all hyped up, ready to go racing, especially after the long break, as we get some pictures of from the safety car, just so you can see how bad it is. Because some of the pictures you might see on the grid, you think, well, it's not that bad. But this is at relatively low speed. Imagine trying to do this at 270, 280 kilometres an hour with another 27 cars battling either side of you, left, right, centre. And you can see why it's difficult, and also the marshal points, the flags system is very difficult to see pretty much till you get to the corners themselves. So it's just enveloping us, I'm afraid, this fog at the moment. But for the drivers, if it did suddenly clear and they were called into action, they've got to somehow get themselves up for it and get the adrenaline flowing and kind of refreshing their heads what they're meant to be doing, because they haven't been in the cars on the track properly, other than driving them to the grid, for 24 hours now. So very difficult for the drivers and, of course, the teams. Vereena has managed to catch up with somebody else, so let's head back down to her.
I'm here with Thomas Preining. Now, Thomas, at the Nürburgring, you managed your first victory, also the first victory for Porsche. So it was a very magical day, a fantastic weekend. And now, after 8 weeks, returning to the second half of the DTM, this weather, I guess you're still smiling a little bit, but it's not what we all expected and wanted.
Yeah, it looks like summer's over, at least here. Of course, we were hoping for at least a race or a quali at all today, but things are the way they are. I'm sure, I'm confident that we can go forward in the race if it happens. We had a really good car yesterday, and also on the wet, the test in Hockenheim, our pace was quite good. So the confidence is there. Now we just need the fog to clear, and we're ready.
So hopefully we will go racing, but fact is tomorrow we will be racing for sure, and I guess you're looking forward to that, to hopefully get some more points, and who knows, maybe collect another victory.
Yeah, of course, we will try our best. Like I said, I'm still a little bit hopeful for today. In my opinion, we could even drive now. I don't have so many issues with the visibility, but it's mainly down to the safety, because the marshals cannot communicate and see each other, and also the helicopter cannot land. So it's not so easy. It's not up to me, unfortunately. So we have to wait.
But what do you say about the fans? I mean, they're still all sitting here, they're waiting just like we all are. Aren't they the greatest fans in the world in the DTM?
Yeah, they're fantastic. Honestly, this is commitment to sit there the whole day, no action. You know, the only thing that happened today was the pit walk, the autograph session. So I'm happy they're still here. They're still waiting to support us in the evening, and I hope we can give them something to watch at least.
I hope so too. Thank you so much, Thomas. Hopefully see you later racing.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Thanks, Verena. There's a couple of things about that, isn't there? First of all, it just gives you an insight into the driver's mindset. They want to go racing. If there is any chance, they're not the ones, you know, that are stopping this happening. They want to go racing if they possibly can, especially just after this long break during the summer. But it is a safety issue. Next update there coming up at 3:15, which is 13 and a half minutes away. So we've got another best part of 15 minutes before we get another update. They'll continue to monitor the situation, the officials. So the drivers want to go racing if they possibly can. The other thing to come out of that is, you know, I think Tommy's not the only one that said it. A few of the drivers have said, you know, we really feel sorry for the fans, and that is a big thing. It's a big part of DTM and touring car racing, that connection with the fans. And, you know, they're brilliant, the drivers. You hover around the paddock, and, you know, in between going from the back of the garages to, you know, going to the race trucks, they're often stopped to get selfies and autographs, and they're always happy to do it, willing and smiling. So they're big fan interaction here, and it's just a shame that they're not been able to watch the racing yet. Right, Verena, back to you.
Yes, and here's a man who's doing social media, I believe, so let's spoiler it. Too late. Oh yes, hello there. So we're live on Instagram with René Rast doing our show. So I guess this is what you guys do, right? To kill the time.
Yeah, I was in the truck and almost falling asleep, so I thought this is better to do something for the fans, but apparently I have very bad connection. So I have to switch the Wi-Fi off. Yeah, I mean, there's at least some interaction with the fans now.
Absolutely. But you said you were almost falling asleep. I mean, I guess this is pretty tough for you guys, trying to be optimistic, trying to keep the energy going. But then again, you're just waiting like all of us.
Exactly. I mean, for the fans, it's horrible. I mean, they're here, you know, want to watch a race. And now they're basically just waiting, and even for you, for me, for everybody, it's difficult. So we try to make the best out of it.
And what does your gut feeling say? Are we going to go racing?
No, I mean, it hasn't really changed, right, in the last 6 hours since this morning. So the sun is also not going to be stronger soon. So I have a bad feeling at the moment.
But that means that tomorrow you have to push even harder.
Yeah, true. Hopefully tomorrow we have a clean and nice day. Today actually there was a forecast for a nice day as well. So
welcome to the Eifel.
Welcome to the Eifel. So let's see. We just hope for the best. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. Maybe you can race today, but I'm not sure.
All right, you still got fans out there, so you keep up your work there. Hopefully see you later. Bye, fans. And yeah, here's your commentator. Bye.
Thanks very much, Verena. That was a bit meta, wasn't that? It was Verena interviewing René, interviewing Verena. So all the drivers trying to interact with the fans. Of course, René's got plenty of media experience because he was quite often last year at DTM in the media side of things as a co-commentator for the German language commentary. So he knows his stuff. But yeah, he's not particularly optimistic. But we wait for official word. We heard from Tommy Preining before that, who was looking really good in the free practice sessions. He was the quicker of the sessions, which was the late afternoon one. He was third quickest. He was top of the times a number of times as well, but third and sixth in the two free practice sessions in a day yesterday where the Porsches looked really good. Dennis Olsen, as I said earlier, was the quickest of all in free practice too. And he had a good chat with Tommy this morning, and he's really kind of gelled with the team. Of course, he's got Timo Bernhard with this huge success. Timo, with the massive amount of experience that he's got as a Le Mans Mans winner, a GT expert, somebody that has been a Nürburgring 24-hour winner as well. It's a fantastic dynamic for a young, very quick driver to be able to get the tips and the advice from the team principal, who's got recent race experience himself. Right, more news down in the pit lane from Verena.
And now we are here with Marco Whitman. So Marco, what do you say about the Eifel weather?
It's a typically Eifel weather, I would say. Yeah, what a shame. Obviously, we are still waiting, and we all hope that the fog somehow disappears soon, that we at least can go racing. Obviously, we are waiting already since 8 in the morning, so I don't know if it's gonna change or not. It would be great, especially for the fans. You know, it's not only about us racing, it's also for the fans, for the spectators, which are sitting on the grandstands waiting that we finally can go racing. So yeah, I think at the moment we are going time by time, checking pretty much every 10-15 minutes if there is a change, and hopefully it gets better.
And looking at the second half of the season, whether we're driving or not today, racing or not, looking into the second half, what are your expectations? What are you hoping for?
Yeah, I mean, our first half of the season was a bit mixed with up and downs. Obviously, in the second half, the aim is to have more ups than downs. I think we had a quite good momentum before the summer break with Imola P3 at Nürburgring. We finished P4, so we scored some good points. And obviously, in the second half, there are some racetracks which are fitting pretty well to me. You know, especially Spielberg, Spa is a pretty cool racetrack. So looking forward to those tracks. And as I said, I hope that the second half gives us a bit more in terms of points, and yeah, let's see then at the end where we end up.
Absolutely, but let's for now cross our fingers and hopefully we'll go racing. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Marco, we'll see you later, hopefully. And then here we go again. Hello there, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm okay.
How are you keeping up your time?
Well, I had some food which was good. Now I'm just here with the boys and just waiting. Obviously, like you see, it doesn't get better, not what I thought. So just waiting.
And just between you and me, after your food, did you have a little nap?
Not yet. Maybe I will go after the interview.
And I mean, obviously, we're all still hoping for the race control to make a decision whether we're going to race or not. But other than that, looking at tomorrow, what are your expectations for the race here at the Nürburgring? Do you know the track well? Do you like it? What are you expecting? What are you hoping for?
Well, we drove here last year, which was not too bad. And I have to say that yesterday in testing, it was quite promising. So I really think we can do something. Obviously, I hope weather will be better. Normally it should. So yeah, second half of the season would be good.
Absolutely. All right, so let's hope that we'll be racing today. And thank you so much. See you later.
Thank you. See you later, maybe.
Yeah, thank you. And here's the youngest man who ever started in the DTM, Theo Overhoos. It's wonderful having you here. And you know what I love about you the most? I mean, I know you since the DTM Trophy, since 2 years. And you always have this wonderful smile in your face, this enthusiasm. And obviously, because you're driving and it's going so well, you have all the rights to smile. But obviously today, who knows if we're going to go racing or not, but all in all, what does it mean for you, coming from the DTM Trophy and now being able to do a guest start here in the DTM?
Yes, it's a very nice feeling to go now to the DTM, that the DTM gave me the trust to do this. And it feels nice to do all that stuff like the BMW M2 Cups and the DTM Trophy, and now here in the DTM. So I won through everything and now I'm here, so I'm quite proud of me to do that.
And you know what? I saw you in the DTM Trophy racing and BMW M2 Cup. I mean, I was there live doing the interviews with you when you were successful. And no matter what, you have so much enthusiasm, and it seems like you're just burning for this motorsport so much. So being in the DTM and getting this chance here, what does that mean to you? And especially with the start with the DTM Trophy, all the support you got, what did that mean to you?
Yeah, a lot. It's a dream which come true for me. To do all the stuff with Walkenhorst together, they also give me the chance to do the DTM stuff here. I'm so thankful to do that, and I'm so happy.
And probably you're only 17 years old. I know everybody's dwelling about it. You're probably like, come on, give me a break. But it's true. I mean, you're the youngest racer ever in the DTM, so that is something to be very proud of. But also, I'm pretty sure you were probably watching the DTM all your childhood through, and you probably have idols here you've been looking up forward to, and now you're driving with them, racing against them this weekend. What is that like?
Yes, like I was always a fan of Marco Whitman. He's now teammate, and also I was a fan of Rennie Rust. And now driving against them, it's a very nice feeling. Also, when I see them on track and drive against, and also in the practices, I saw them one times. It's an unbelievable feeling. It's just unrealistic for me.
And do you still get this little nervous feeling when you see them? I mean, they're just like, they're really, big guys in the DTM, big guys in motorsports. What's it like for you? Also seeing Ralf Schumacher here, who is supporting his son, David. What is that like for you?
I cannot describe it. It's just unbelievable.
I bet. And I'm so looking forward to seeing you racing in the DTM, hopefully today, and if not today, at least tomorrow, that's for sure. What do you think is realistic? What can you do? What do you think?
Hopefully I can go to the top 20 or something like that, but also depends on how many DNS we have, so I want to be not the last, at least.
Oh, I'm sure you won't be. I mean, I've seen you race, and when you're on fire, you're on fire.
Yes, I hope so.
All right, Theo. Thank you so much, and best of luck either today or definitely tomorrow, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me just grab that. Thank you so much, because we've got another man here, because obviously we talked to Thomas Biermeier earlier on, and hello there. How are you doing?
Yeah, I would be a little bit better if we would race.
I know. I think we're all in the same boat. We all feel the same way. And you look like it's winter. That's a thick jacket. I guess it is pretty cold, huh?
What I learned in my, let's say short career so far is that when you go to the ring, you have everything in the car, like big jacket, everything, just to be sure. I don't know. We came here with 30 degrees, on Thursday, and now we're here. I mean,
it's crazy.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely. I mean, the Eifel is known for this crazy weather, that's for sure. I mean, we're glad it's not snowing, even though you're prepared for snow probably. Did you get your skis?
I'm prepared for everything.
All right, so what's your gut feeling? Are we going to be racing today, yes or no?
Honestly, I think we will not race. How it looks now, I mean, it's not getting better. And at one point we will have a problem with the time, I guess. I mean, I would love to race, but I think today will be difficult.
So we'll see, but we're still optimistic. So Ricardo,
Definitely.
Thank you so much, and let's hope we are going racing, and if not, at least tomorrow, I'm sure you'll be pushing really hard.
I'm always pushing.
I know. All right. Thank you
you
so much, Ricardo. Back to you.
Sterling work, Verena. Fantastic. All three Volcanels Motorsport drivers, and Ricardo Feller, now of course a race winner in DTM after his maiden victory a couple of meetings ago at Imola. Start delayed indefinitely now until conditions improve is the latest news, and certainly looking out of the window of the commentary box, can't see any further up towards the final turn at turn 11 than I could. Really an hour ago or so, I'm afraid. But good news, got some company in the commentary box, because a very familiar voice has come to join me. He's here this weekend. Looking after the BMW Cup, but of course a very, very familiar voice over the years as DTM commentator is Dave Richardson. Dave, you studied for me at the Norris Ring a few weeks ago. The weather couldn't be any more different, could it?
You and we've been to the Nürburgring thousands of times. Well, certainly hundreds of times, I'm sure. I have to say, this is unprecedented, Chris. I have never known. Normally, you wake up in the morning, it's like this, and you think, oh yeah, it'll be gone by 10 o'clock. But this is really set in, isn't it? I was down there on the grid, and visibility was, television sometimes gives us the benefit of seeing things that we wouldn't necessarily see, but on this occasion, being down there on the grid and seeing just how challenging the visibility is, I mean, it's always a difficult call for those in control to make whatever decisions they make. Of course, driver safety is always paramount, always the number one priority. I have to say, having listened to Ricardo Feller, don't think he's probably wrong, Chris. Sorry to be a doom monger.
No, I'm afraid. And as many of the drivers have said, the worst thing of all is for the fans that are here.
Of course.
Somewhere in the grandstands there, because it's hard to really describe it properly, because there are a lot of people here this weekend running around the paddock earlier when they were just coming out of the pit lane walkabout, the autograph session. It was absolutely packed.
Just as I was making my way down the stairs earlier on, I saw Maxi Gertz, current DTM champion, who said, Dave, you want to get out there with your turntables, mate, and entertain these fans.
With probably, the DJ, the Red Bull DJ on the grid.
Probably the last thing in the world they need, Chris, but hey, nice thought.
Yes, well, you know to spin a tune yourself. That's for sure. Of course, for a lot of these drivers, we've had this break, but if you're trying to catch up in the championship, if you're a Felipe Fraga or a Kelvin Vandalinder, and you've not had a great first half of the season, you're refreshed, you're right, let's go again. Yep. We're all ready to go. Let's have a good weekend at the Nürburgring. If we get a win, a podium, suddenly, we can have a good few weekends. We're not out of this championship. They'll be dying to go racing, but it's just huge frustration for them as well, isn't it, in particular? Yeah, and you and I have seen that on so many occasions with the DTM. You can come in after the summer break, which has not always been as elongated as it has been this year, but it really has been a reset this year, and we just saw René Rast there, another one that could, he would love to finish his DTM career with Audi on a real high and take yet another championship. And you certainly wouldn't rule him out, but he's got to do some catching up, hasn't he? He has, but I think it might be one of those seasons where, one win, maybe two in the season, a few podiums and lots of points finishes, especially the second half of the season, could really put you up the championship table, as we've seen from Mirko Bortolotti, who leads the championship, yet to win a race. Right, Verena has found somebody else to catch up with. She's gone through most of the grid. Who's she found now?
Yeah, I got most of the drivers, but now finally I found Maxi Götz. And you just told me that you had a very special surprise for Maro Engel earlier on. What did you do? It's pretty mean.
Yeah, so you don't see it now, but he has birthday. And I put a little choco cake, I would say, in his face on the starting grid, which is outstanding, I would say. He was not surprised. Because he did the same to Luca Stolz. And we were discussing it before, but Luca was afraid of doing it. To get, I don't know how to say, but revenge. Yeah. So I said, okay, let's do it. I will do it. And Maro was not amused, but he deserved it. 2 days especially.
After all, yeah. But as you can see, the spirits are really high, and even though it's not in our hands with the weather, but the drivers are all having fun. You guys are entertaining us, entertaining yourselves. So what have you been doing the last hours, despite the fact pushing little cakes in Maro's face?
Yeah, so beside of putting the cake in Maro's face, of course I talked to the guys. We had some fun out there with our guests from the team, with our sponsors. They're also not happy, of course, because they want us racing. They want to see us racing out there, and in this case it's not possible because it's a safety issue. The fog is just too much at the moment, and also the helicopter is not able to start if something happens. So it's a shame. We want to perform, we want to show the guys out there, the fans, which are still sitting on the grandstand, a great show. But unfortunately, it's not possible at the moment.
But isn't it amazing how the fans are really out there and they're sitting there in the rain just because they're hoping to see you guys in
they're
action?
Still hoping, I guess. And also we hope. Still, it's happened. They paid money, they paid the fee here, and they want to see motorsport. And we are in the Eifel, and this is not unusual. But if I remember back, it's for me just really a day which never happened to me especially. But I talked to Ben Schneider, and he says in the old DTM times this happened already back in the days. So it's unfortunate, but it's in the Eifel. It's could happen.
Anything is possible here, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But hopefully, it doesn't matter how today ends up, but tomorrow definitely we're all going racing. And what are you expecting? I mean, what do you think of the Nürburgring? Is it one of your favorite tracks?
Yeah, Nürburgring is unique, it's special, it's with a big history as well, and of course we want to race. But I talked to Martin Tomczyk, he's in charge of the DTM now, with Gerhard Berger together, and we offered let's having 2 races maybe tomorrow. This was my offer, 2 qualifyings, 2 races. So why not? The teams maybe are not happy, the mechanics getting more business tomorrow. But this would be something for the fans and a little payback for them to see us racing 2 times. The mechanics are still relaxing in the garages.
Yeah, they don't know yet,
so
right?
they are having free time today. They're able to work a bit more tomorrow. This would I suggest, but in the end it's not in my hands. But I wish, of course, to have as much as racing as possible this weekend.
Absolutely, and I think it's a wonderful idea. Let's see if it happens or not. One question, where's Maro's box?
More further down, and then he's still taking out his chocolate.
Or in the shower, who knows?
Yeah, so it was really gluing and everything. It was not funny for him. But it was, of course, nice pictures we create, and he deserved it. I mean, you don't have birthday every day, and especially in this situation with this time we have, this free time. this was a good one, yes.
Hey, I don't know how brave you are, but you know there's another birthday boy today, right?
No.
Not just Maro.
Who? Who is
yeah,
it?
Berger.
Ah.
Anyway, so I'm going to try to find Maro now.
Okay.
And I will see you later,
Yeah,
okay?
of course. Thank you, guys. I'll see you
Here's
later.
your commentator.
But please don't put chocolate cake in the face of Gerhard Berger, because you might be put to the back of the grid. I'll tell you what, if you'd asked me a question, who is the driver that put a chocolate cake in the face of Maro Engel on his birthday, and I had to guess, that would have been the first person I would have guessed, Maxi Götz. That's a typical Maxi thing to do, that. It's 37 years young today for Maro Engel, not quite the way he wanted to celebrate his birthday, and it sounds like he's in a bit of a mess. But interesting that day from Maxi saying, you know, my offer is we do a couple of races tomorrow.
Yes.
I mean, it's already a packed timetable. There's a lot of racing here this weekend, but just wanted to give the fans something back, aren't they?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, all of these racing drivers, hugely professional, but ultimately, you know, they want to go racing and they want to entertain as well. I mean, they really do respect and realise just how important the fans are, and of course we all do.
Yeah.
And it's as frustrating for them as it is for the poor fans that are sitting in the grandstands here, and of course for our viewers as well. We would rather be talking about cars that are racing on the track, but clearly we can't do that. And as Maxi said, you know, it's a safety issue, and everyone does understand that. But you know, it's nice, isn't it, that the drivers recognise, you know, just how important it is for those spectators that whether on television or whether live, you know, the drivers really appreciate them.
Absolutely right, yeah. I'm not sure the mechanics appreciate Maxi, though. He got a few dirty looks when he suggested that their day become even more busy tomorrow with 2 qualifying sessions.
There was a little shudder
races
across your face, if I may say so.
Yeah, I think he left the scene pretty quickly after the interview ended, that's for sure, before the team got on his back. It's, for everybody, a great shame, because I think we were potentially for a cracking race today. Hard to say because we didn't have qualifying, and yes, the conditions are different, not just that we can't see the track, but the conditions of the track itself. The air temperature is a lot cooler than yesterday, track temperature likewise, and there's that moisture on the track. But yesterday we had 26 cars in the free practice session, covered by 0.7 of a second, and it's not the longest lap in the world, but it's certainly not a short lap around the Nürburgring, is it?
No, it's absolutely extraordinary how competitive and how well it's working. That all these cars, I didn't realise it was within 0.7. I mean, you've done your work. You know, that's extraordinary, isn't it? And yes, it would have been and could have been an absolutely cracking race. Let's be positive. If we go racing today, it'll still be a cracking race. It'll be an even more cracking race tomorrow, I'm sure.
And how good is it that we've had such an open championship? We talk about the field being close, and I think that's the closest we've had pretty much the whole pack in a practice session. But we've had plenty of times this year, 20 cars covered by less than a second. It's becoming the norm, and that field of drivers is hugely talented, isn't it? There are drivers, yes, with previous Class 1 DTM experience, like Lucas Auer, that have really adapted very well to these cars. Second half of last year, Lucas was one of the biggest scoring drivers in terms of points. So he's made the step up. Rennie Rast and Nico Muller and drivers are adapting to these cars. They've got GT experience previously, but then you've got GT experts through and through, like Mirko Bortolotti, that are coming into this with years and years of experience. So the whole field are champions, are race winners in 24-hour races, in GT championships. It's immensely competitive now.
The breadth of talent there is across the grid of cars is extraordinary. And you're absolutely right. You when you combine those specialists along with those drivers who have been successful in DTM, but as you say, I mean, the Class 1 era is a completely different car to drive, says he, like he knows what he's talking about. But this is anecdotal from all the drivers, you know. A completely different ball game. But as you say, they've taken to it, and they've really and then to have, you know, so many drivers so competitive within tenths is absolutely wonderful. The other thing for me, Chris, and I've had the benefit of calling the races at the Nürburgring in your makeup absence, and that is that for me the breadth and depth of manufacturers as well is fantastic to see. All of those wonderful looking cars, and actually that's one of the nicer images that we've seen today with the BWT Mercedes-Benz on the left hand side and the Audi right behind it. Mercedes and Audi, of course, stalwarts in the Class 1 era, but when you add in the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris and the Porsches, and of course, again, I had the benefit of calling the first ever Porsche win in DTM at the Nürburgring, and I have to say that was a real highlight for me.
Yeah, Lamborghini absolutely knocking on the door. Mirko Bortolotti's had a pole, he's had podiums, and he's leading the championship.
It's amazing he hasn't had a win, though. It's amazing
he
hasn't had a win. It's just sheer consistency, isn't it, in point scoring?
Yeah, but he's been up there. He's been, he's had a chance. He's not a distant second, a distant third. I mean, he probably should have won the first race at Portimao, and then ironically, his teammate Rolf Innichen had a problem with the car that brought out the safety car. And on the restart, Mirko's car faltered, and he dropped down to 7th place at the first corner. He fought back to get a podium, a terrific battle in the closing stages of the race. But he hasn't quite got the win. But will he care if he wins the championship at the end of the season? Probably not, because that's what they're all trying to do. But we've had, up until today, 8 qualifying sessions, 8 different pole sitters. It's incredibly close. I mean, the standard of driving has been exceptionally close. The standard of cake throwing has been exceptionally interesting as well, by the sounds of it today. Let's find out more with Verena.
So I'm here with a birthday boy, and there's lots of cake, not only here, also backstage. I already saw it, and your family's here, your grandfather, everybody's here. And I heard Maxi Götz also had a wonderful surprise for you.
Yeah, he had the so-called best present of the day for me. It wasn't very material, but it was squashed all over my face. Yeah, but I guess that's what happens on birthdays. And today I was on the receiving end of that. I've been on the giving end of that plenty of times, so I cannot complain too much.
I was just going to say, because I think there was a story to it. We also heard about it. It was kind of a revenge story, right?
Yeah, actually not with Maxi, but as everyone knows, I've raced a lot, and I still race a lot with Lucas Stolz, and it was his birthday at the 24-hour race in Spa, and then they actually finished second, so he got a little present from my side after the race.
See, because that's a story we heard with Lucas Stolz, so I guess it's only fair, and you take it with a smile on your face.
I'm not complaining.
But I guess it's pretty disgusting to have sticky cake in your face.
Yeah, the trip to the bathroom was pretty quick to try and wash it off. It's very, very, very sticky.
So you prefer the champagne all over you?
Much to it. It burns in the eyes, but it's much nicer, and obviously for a good reason as well.
So hopefully, even if we're not gonna, who knows, if we're not gonna go racing today, hopefully tomorrow maybe a bit of taste of champagne again?
Yeah, look, we're motivated, and I think the car was working well yesterday. It's tight as always, but we felt good about today, and it's a shame we couldn't go out there. It's a shame, especially for the spectators, because we want to go out there and give them a show, and it's great to see so many of them here, and but unfortunately about the weather, it's the way it is.
But I think it's really phenomenal that they're all still there. They're sitting there, they're waiting, they're crossing their fingers, they're hoping that we're still going to see some action.
Yeah, for sure, it's mega. It's really, really cool, and a big thanks to them, because we're suffering, and there's a lot of standing around, a lot of waiting, but for them, it's even tougher out on the grandstand, and for them to stay around. So big thanks, and hopefully we can put on a show for them.
See, I mean, the thing is, they're sitting in the rain, they're waiting, and we're all trying to entertain the fans, the viewers, each other. But on the other side, we're just trying to kill the time. But all we want to do is, you guys want to race, we want to see the action. We're all in the same boat, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, somehow we're all racers. We want to go out there, we want to race, we want to put on a good show, and vice versa. I guess the fans are here for exactly that. To try and see a cool race, and us battling it out on track.
And in case you're wondering what we're seeing right there in the camera, we actually managed to get some secret video of you in the cake. So at this point, I haven't seen it yet either, but I think we can all smile and just enjoy the moment, because, I think the fans might enjoy that too.
I'm not sure what it looked like, but I remember what it felt like.
All right, so are you going to think about the next time maybe giving a revenge to Maxi, or do you think maybe it's better to get out of that business?
Well, what comes around goes around, so, he's just entered the game, so to say. So let's see.
All right, well, thank you so much. Enjoy your birthday. We might see you later, who knows. Thank you very much also for smiling about the cake story. And now here's your commentator.
Thanks very much, Verena. Maxi Götz better be looking over his shoulder for the rest of the season, I reckon, after splatting a chocolate cake in the face of our birthday boy today at Maro Engel. It's great to have Maro back, isn't it? His first foray into DTM wasn't that successful. He never quite got the car, the package behind him. He's been an exceptional driver in GT racing over the years. Nürburgring 24-hour race winner. And it was him that was having that battle at Portimao with Mirko Bortolotti for what was at the time the final spot on the podium. He picked up a penalty in the end and and dropped to 10th place. But he's had a podium this year. He's just outside the top 10 in the championship. And he's another of the nice guys in the paddock, isn't he, Mauro Engel?
Oh, absolutely, yes. And I still recall, and I can't remember how many years ago, it's remiss of me, when Mauro got married and, to be delivered to the church in a Class 1 DTM car. That was something very, very special.
He met his wife at DTM, didn't he?
Yes, that's right. Thomas Biermayer, I've not seen him look so relaxed in a long time, and I'm loving the abbed shirts, which is just underneath the gilet, you can see. And Thomas has said he's going to have one specially commissioned for me at the end of the year, which is a new size, Chris. It's called BE, blooming enormous.
Oh, right.
Should fit.
Yes, they are very snazzy, the kits they wear at abbed. Very Ollie Sittler, which is the German presenter of the DTM Fan TV here, has a very collection of a great collection of very flowery, very colourful shirts. He can pull them off. I definitely couldn't if I tried to wear them. But Thomas Biermayer looks pretty good in the kit, but difficult for them as well. This hanging around and waiting around for them. There you can see the cars on the grid. The grid slightly different here at the Nürburgring because they take the grid forward, don't they, up towards turn 1, so all the fans in the grandstand can see it. This is the Cake Gate incident. There you can see what happened to poor old Mauro Engel there, courtesy of Maxi Götz, and then Verena showing Mauro the footage afterwards. You can see there's a smile, but you can see the cogs turning already behind the braid. He's thinking, how am I going to get him back, Dave?
Yeah, it's going to happen, isn't it? So, as you quite rightly said, Maxi, just keep an eye on your back, friend. Keep one eye over your shoulder because there is going to be a payback.
Just a bunch of kids at the end of the day, these racing drivers.
But actually, doesn't that reinforce, Chris, the camaraderie there is across the grid?
Absolutely,
through all the drivers. Of course, we're talking about Mauro and Maxi, of course, who both drive for the same brand, but there's lots and lots of friendships out there. Of course, when it comes to putting the crash helmet on and going racing, the friendships are all forgotten, aren't they? And everyone is out there for everything that they can get. But it is, it's a really nice paddock. It's a really encompassing paddock, isn't it?
Yeah, there's an interesting interview with David Schumacher a week or two ago in Autosport, and he was having come from the FIA F3 Championship, saying one of the things I really like about DTM is how much friendlier the paddock is, and that's certainly something we've seen today. Right, let's head back down to the grid now then, and Verena.
And I'm here with Arjun Maini. I haven't seen you yet all day, even though we've been doing interviews all day. I'm glad to see you. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good. I mean, it's been a bit of a disappointing day. I was really looking forward to getting racing here. But yeah, just been a lot of waiting.
Exactly. I mean, you've been here since, 8 o'clock in the morning and no action for you yet?
Yeah, I mean, I also feel bad for the fans because they've been here. They're still waiting, a lot of them, to go racing, and I really hope we can get going soon. But to be honest, it doesn't look like it's getting any better.
I know. I mean, let's hope, but who knows? We're going to find out in just a bit, probably in the next few hours. But all in all, Nürburgring, how does the track suit you? And are you looking forward to definitely tomorrow to be racing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the testing went all right in FP2 for us, so looks good. But in the end, you never know here because everyone just shows their hand in qualifying. But yeah, definitely looking forward to going racing. I had my first points in the DTM here last year, so yeah, I was hoping to hopefully get on the podium would be nice. But let's see, it's quite tough this year.
Yeah, it's very tough. And speaking of being tough, I mean, it's so competitive. We've got the best drivers here. How are you experiencing this season so far? And now jumping into the second half of the season, what are you expecting?
Yeah, it's been quite up and down for me. I've had some moments I've been very fast. It's like in the Nürburgring, but it's been a bit unlucky as well. But yeah, a lot of things I can improve as well. A lot of things that went well. But in the end, it's all about putting it together in this strong grid. You can find yourself qualifying in the top 5 one race, and then the next race, you're 18th. So that's how strong this grid is, and that's the main thing, is to do a clean quali and then try to start the race at the front.
All right, so hopefully either today or tomorrow, best of luck, that's for sure, and we'll see you racing.
Thank you
so
very
much, Arjun.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Let
me just grab that. Thank you very much. And there's Martin Tomczyk. Hello there, how are you doing?
Hi, Verena. Well, obviously it could be better, right?
Yeah.
Right. So the fog is obviously the issue, as you for sure know. And obviously it does not really look better. So that's the biggest issue, and that's the issue why we can't obviously start the race.
And how long are we going to wait? I mean, what's the rule, or what are you guys going to do?
Well, obviously we have a timeline that we can't, or we have a hard cut due to track operations and whatever, that's around about between 6 and 7 to start the race, the latest. Obviously, we don't want to wait that long, but if so, we have to wait. And if you see the weather and the weather prediction, it does not really look good. But we still have that 2-3 hours now, and we will wait this time now.
All right, so hopefully you're still optimistic. Hopefully we'll still
You
manage.
always have to be optimistic. I know at Nürburgring it's not that easy to be that optimistic, but I'm still optimistic.
All right, absolutely fantastic. We're crossing our fingers. And by the way, do you see this man here?
Well, I saw him quite often now, the last couple of minutes.
He's just on Instagram non-stop. Is that what he's being paid for?
For them.
It's just he's not doing anything else. But I guess, Martin, I mean, that's something fantastic about the DTM. We've got the fans. They're all waiting. I mean, it looks like they're still there hanging on, hoping that we're going to be racing. And the same with the drivers. Everybody's got a smile on their face. They've got to be also disappointed.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everyone knows the weather here at Nürburgring, and that's very unpredictable. But it's not just about the DTM. We have the DTM Trophy, we have the DTM Classic, we have our support series. So this is a lot of racing action, what obviously now the spectators will miss. So we keep our fingers crossed that first of all we have a race today still, and secondly that we have a nice Nürburgring weather tomorrow on Sunday.
Oh, hopefully, because we all know the Eifel is so predictably unpredictable.
Yes.
But yeah, crossing the fingers. So Martin, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And let's hope. Here's your commentator.
Thanks very much, Farina. We'll be in our flip-flops and beach shorts tomorrow. I'm sure it's going to be totally different weather. It is hopefully going to be a lot clearer. That's the key thing. There's Rennie Rast still on Instagram, still doing his live post to the fans. He's getting the step count up, that's for sure. Hopefully he's got a good battery on that phone because he's been going for a while now. Good to hear from former DTM champion Martin Tomczyk as well, very much involved behind the scenes of DTM now, remaining optimistic. So they're the news coming through. Yeah, we've got a window, we've got a cut-off point at between 6 and 7 where we could start the race. It's a 55-minute plus 1 lap race, and in terms of the weather and the darkness falling, probably about 8 o'clock yesterday, I would say, Dave, was when it was probably going a bit too dark to race. So if they could start before 7, it would technically be possible, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. No, it's Maxime Osten and Colin Carasani there walking down the grid. Maxime Osten from the BMW M2 Cup and Colin Carasani also from that, but now racing in the DTM Trophy. And just going back to Martin Tomczyk, yes, DTM champion, now part of the DTM management, isn't he? And, you know, Martin forever the optimist, I would suggest, with what he was saying there. Of course, we've got to be optimistic, but, yes, as the minutes and hours tick by, it becomes less and less likely. But I think you're right, Chris. I think the judgment call will come around around 6:30, you know, because theoretically then you would still just have enough light, wouldn't you, to get it done. But your guess is as good as mine.
Who knows, yeah. One thing I'm sure they will want to do is even if you can't do it today, run the race at some point, be that this weekend, or add a race potentially, I guess, if it's possible, to another race weekend, because drivers will want to get that full programme of races in if possible, especially those that are trying to catch up in the championship.
Of course, yeah. And it's really critical for them, isn't it? And they're the ones that would be perhaps most disadvantaged. I mean, Mirko Bortolotti's probably rubbing his hands with invisible soap, isn't he?
Like fog at the next 8 races.
Yes, absolutely, of course. But yeah, you're right. And, you know, that generally speaking, the DTM puts on such great entertainment for the spectators that it is always quite a packed schedule, Chris. And just throwing in another race here and there, and you know, we go back to what Maxi was saying about running 2 races tomorrow. That's going to be a tall order. Yeah,
absolutely. With DTM Trophy, the DTM Classics, BMW Cup, as you said, Dave, and there's other sport championships, Lotuses and P9 Cup. So it's a busy timetable anyway. So that would potentially, I think, be tricky, as you say. If it's going to happen, I think it's probably going to have to happen today. But that fog showing no sign of relenting. It's good to hear from Arjun Maini as well. As he said, got his first DTM points here after getting close, certainly at the Lausitz ring prior to that last year, where he was really quick, but had some bad luck in the races. He got a 10th place finish, and he had a really strong second half of the season, 6 points finishes last year, and a rather overlooked podium finish for the Indian driver at the Nürburgring, the final round of the championship. because of the drama that we had for the championship. Now, somewhere on there, you can see Scott Elkins, well, you can't see him, but you can see the car that he's in. Scott Elkins, new for 2022 race director, is out on course in the course car, inspecting the circuit and seeing what it's like. But I think from the pictures you see there, you get the idea of just how bad it is out there. But great to have Scott as well, with all of his experience coming into the championship, the American this year, who not just on the official side, but he's been involved in everything in motorsport. He's been a race engineer, he's been a team principal as well, and he's brought some new and very strong ideas with him to the championship, having previously been a deputy F1 race director and a race director in single-seater international categories like F2 and F3. So great to have Scott with us this year. He probably didn't have to deal with this sort of weather too often in his past role, though.
I don't know. You know, they do get some of it in the USA, don't they? But yeah, you're right. What a great addition to the management team, if you will. And that's, you know, he's been out, he's done a lap. I wonder what he's going to think when he jumps out of the car, Chris. My reckoning is no go.
You probably would have heard earlier, Dave, but Verena interviewed Gerhard Berger, the ITR chairman on the grid, of course, a famed racer himself from his exploits in Formula One. He said, well, I'm an old school, me, I'd have gone out and raced in this. Is what I said, but then I went around the course car and then I changed my mind.
Oh, really?
Because actually it is really bad. So Gerhard Berger is saying it's a bit difficult to race, and he's somebody that would have gone out in all weathers and has done in the past and raced. Yes. And you know the weather, he's definitely against you. So there, the course car having, well, you just about saw the shape of the car, and you just about saw the lights more than anything. But it's got the sound of the car now, and you know, they continue to keep inspecting it. But I suspect the report back is going to be, for now, we're going to have to continue on waiting, because I just don't see that it's changed at all. Looking at the commentary box, we're pretty much on the start-finish line, and I can see no more towards the final turn at turn 11 than I could. Really, when the cars were on the grid initially a couple of hours ago now. So it's not getting any worse, that's for sure, but I don't think it's getting any better either.
And of course, we've got the temperature dropping now as well, Chris.
Yeah, and it's already quite cool compared to yesterday, isn't it? It was 13 degrees. We were chatting about earlier on in the month, it was 31 degrees for the recent tests here, and a few weeks ago it was 38 degrees in this part of the country. So yeah, incredible. That's the weather for you, though, isn't it? So despite all the efforts from the organisers, everybody involved here, there's only so much you can do when Mother Nature intervenes like that.
And the irony is, it'll be so jolly different tomorrow.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
You know, there's me waxing lyrical in positivity, but I am absolutely convinced it will be completely different tomorrow.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago being here for the Nürburgring 24-hour race, being on the grid, doing the grid walk, and it must have been 32 or 33 degrees. It was absolutely roasting hot. Came back to the commentary box, you know, in a sweat, absolutely boiling hot. I think an hour and a half later, the race got stopped because we had hailstorm, torrential rain. The cars couldn't get up the hill on slick tyres. They got stuck. About 7 of them went off the road in the barriers. And it was like a different season, never mind a different day, the weather. It just completely changed within an hour, from raging hot to hailstones, and this is in May, and or late May, and then again, hour and a half later, bright sunshine, completely different story again, yeah.
I think the only, microclimate and Nürburgring and the Eifel region, you know, they're all fabled, aren't they, with regards to the weather conditions. I think the only other place where I've experienced such changeable conditions at Knock Hill in the UK,
right. Yeah.
You know, up in Scotland, where we've had everything all on the same day, you know, from snow, from rain, from blistering sunshine, and Babs, our audio engineer, who is a delight to us, Chris,
absolutely,
is serving tea and biscuits. I mean, really, what has happened since I've left the DTM, Chris? Goodness me.
We're pampered these days. Yes, a tray of chocolate biscuits has arrived. Thank you very much, Babs. Yeah, to keep us going. I was rather hoping for some chocolate cake from Mario Engel, but yeah, that'll do, as long as we don't get in the face, I suppose.
Oh, and
we need a giant fan here to try and blow this away. It was kind of about an hour before the race. We had a bit of rain in the air. I thought that might just clear it, but it's not. It's never really materialised. It's been threatening to rain, I think, since I got here 2 days ago, but it's never quite happened, has it?
No, and you're right. That would have made a difference. Ironically, you know, that would have probably helped us, but it hasn't happened. You're right, and. well, we don't have a radio into race control, but I would have loved to have heard the comments as he got out of the car, having done that lap.
Wouldn't have been too many syllables in it,
hello.
I don't think. Marshals relaxing then. They do a fantastic job, the volunteer marshals at the Nürburgring, at all the DTM events. They're the eyes and ears, of course, of race control, in direct communication with them all the time. They look after the safety of the drivers. No volunteer marshals, nobody can go racing anyway, never mind the weather. So a massive thanks, as always, to the marshals around the circuit. A rare chance to relax in what was meant to be an incredibly busy day for them, as I said, with all these races and support races that we've got lined up. Dave, of course, you DTM commentator for many years in the Class 1 era. Very different cars. Some are familiar names in terms of the drivers. The whole look, of course, and ethos of the championship changed last year. But you have to say, what a huge success it has been to have such packed grids. We had 29 cars on the grid at the start of the year, which was a record. We've still got 28 cars on the grid, got new drivers testing it out, potentially, I guess, for next year, like Theo Uverhaus. And the quality is immense. As you've already said, new brands coming in, new teams coming in that have been successful in other forms of motorsport and GT racing. So it's in a very good place at the moment.
It is in a very good place. And I have to say that I made it my mission to, at the start of the GT3 era, if you like, to shake Gerhard's hand. And I know it wasn't just him. There's a lot of people working on it behind the scenes, and they worked jolly hard, didn't they, to put this right. And, you know, what they have created is awesome, Chris.
Yeah, it's worked absolutely brilliantly. Right, we've got more news now down on the grid. Back to you, Verena.
I'm now here with the true expert of motorsport, Manuel Reuter. But are you an expert with the weather? What do you predict?
Expert with the weather is relatively. I mean, our spotter says 2 k's away is sunny and blue sky. I saw also the picture from it, so hopefully the wind will pick up a little bit today, and I think we still have the chance to start, might be at 5:30 or 6 o'clock. So I'm still optimistic, and we are on pole, so at the moment everything is a little bit chilly.
And speaking of the pole setter, how is he? Have you spoken to him? Is he also relaxed? How's Mirko doing?
No, Mirko had up to now a hard day in the office. No, but no, he's really relaxed at the moment. I mean, we cannot change the conditions. We have to see and have to be ready for it. But Mirko is so professional that will work, I'm sure. But we have to wait now. I think the biggest problem is now the visibility, and I think if something happened, the helicopter cannot start. So hopefully the conditions will improve, so looking forward.
Yeah, we still got some time, that's for sure. 3:45, so another 2 hours maybe. Hopefully we'll go racing. And speaking of Mirko, he's leading the championship. He's starting in pole, so really ideal everything. But what is it like? Surely you spoke to him about what's it like when now all he wants to do is hopefully extend his lead, and then just waiting since 8 in the morning. I mean, obviously everybody's in the same boat, that's for sure. But is it especially frustrating maybe for Mirko?
I would not say frustrating. I mean, we have here some ballast in the car from Nürburgring, from the second place. I mean, all the championship contenders are in the first 2 rows. So it's anyway, I think, an intense battle now for the second half of the season. René Rust's ambitions are clearly he would take his 4th title, and I think Mirko is in a really good shape. Also, let's say, from not only from driving on the track, from the overall package. I think he's one of the few guys who could be really a hard challenge for René's 4th title.
Yeah, René, and also there's still Sheldon, who's probably also burning for some points and hopefully or surely for the title. So the second half of the season is going to be super exciting, super tight. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the tracks which coming up should be not too bad for us. But I mean, we see how quickly things can change. So from the regulations, we are quite happy that we are here on pole, but we have to see now how we will finish the today's race. But I think it will be, in the end, decided which one does the fewer mistakes. I mean, we have seen in the first half it was changing so quickly forwards and backwards, and I think it will be decided with the fewer mistakes, not with the success. I mean, also you have to take into account with the ballast weight is quite challenging if you have 15 or even 25 kilos in the car. So take consistent points and be always ready.
And I think also Mirko said it's not about the person in the end who won the most races, but who really drove the most consistent. I think that's, again, with Mirko, it really shows he's been consistent the whole first half season.
Exactly, and there are so many contenders for a race win. I mean, we saw clearly here on the weekend that the Porsches are really strong. They are now, unfortunately, because of the grid which we have now, because they are not so far ahead in the championship in the points, but they are for sure a factor. And also we should not forget our friends from Stuttgart, Mercedes. They are really strong. They have quite a good BOP for here. So yeah, it's you have to, if you want to finish first you have to finish, and it's still a long way to go.
Absolutely, and I mean, you know the DTM so well, and I think one thing's for sure, we've got so many fantastic drivers, so many teams, so many really superb cars in the field. So would you agree to say that the DTM hasn't been as competitive as it is this year, that it really is truly competitive?
Yeah, for sure, for the last 10 years, definitely. I mean, like you said, before we had only 3 manufacturers. That means basically you had per manufacturer 2 drivers. That means 6. But now it's basically...
different story.
Yeah, 20 who can... 25 who can win races, and still more than 10 drivers are up for the championship in the end.
So we're looking forward to the second half of the season, but now we're looking forward to hopefully get racing, right?
Yes.
All right, let's hope.
Cross the fingers.
Thank you so much, Manuel. Back to you.
Thanks, Verena. Yeah, you need to do the opposite of a rain dance, don't we? An anti-fog dance. What we'll say is I hesitate to say this and get you too excited, but it's definitely a bit brighter than it was. It's still foggy, but it's less dull than it was. And interesting to hear from Manuel Reuter there saying we've got spotters out and around, and 2 kilometres away, and this is hard to believe if you're here, but 2 kilometres away, it's actually sunny and it's clear. So there's hope yet. We've still got time for possibly getting this race in. But good to hear from Manuel Reuter, who's come in this year and joined Gottfried Grasser's team as team manager, the former ITR champion and DTM championship runner-up. So good to hear from Manuel. Let's hear who else we've got down with Verena.
Yes, and I've got another man here who's been so busy the past years. And actually, just when I looked, he had his mobile phone in his hand again. And now that he saw that we were approaching him, he's trying to be all cool, pretending like he's thinking about something else. But really, he was on social media again. So, René, you win the title today of Mr. Social Media.
Thank you.
What are you doing with your fans? I mean, how much can you talk?
I got a lot of questions though, so it wasn't that difficult. But yeah, I learned that I have to be self-entertaining, a bit like you sometimes. But yeah, it's cool. I think it's for the fans. They're on the grandstand waiting, just like us. So I think it's cool to give them a bit back.
Absolutely. And we just heard, Martin Tomczyk was optimistic that hopefully, we've got till 6 or 7 to decide. So what do you think? Do you think we'll still get some action today? Will you still be entering your car?
Normally I'm always optimistic, but today I'm not sure. Since this morning it hasn't really changed. It got worse actually, and we need a miracle, I think, to get back to racing today. But let's see, maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah, hopefully, because we all want to see some action. Do you guys also sit together and chat during this time? And you've been here since 8 in the morning, so it's been a long day in the office. So what do you guys do? Fill us in on some details.
Exactly. Before I went in our truck and I watched Kelvin Vandalinder. He was sleeping next to me, so I was watching him a little bit.
Snoring? Or?
Yeah, no, he wasn't snoring, but he got a bit annoyed because I came in, I woke him up, and then he was a bit annoyed, but he kept sleeping.
Let me guess, social media, did you have the camera in his face?
No, I'm not that bad.
Okay.
But then, I did my social media thing. Actually, I went back in our truck and I found Kelvin, Ricardo, and our engineer. They were talking a bit of... some funny stuff. So I entered with my phone on the live stream. We had some fun together. But now I had some cookies, some chocolate. There's not much to do. I just told our team manager it's quite boring actually. But that's you can't do anything. Just talk about rubbish and then have fun.
Speaking of team managers, speaking some rubbish, is that something René can do well?
I think you can have fun with René a lot, to be honest. It's always nice to have some free time to chat about funny stuff outside from racing in general. But yeah, we're trying to enjoy the time as best as possible and make the best out of it.
And I think that's so wonderful. I mean, seeing everybody, seeing you, seeing René, everybody here, everyone's just trying to make the most out of it, right?
That's true. I mean, this is what we're here for at the end.
Absolutely. But we're hoping that today we're still going to get a show as well.
Yes, of course. I think everybody from us. This is why we're still here.
Absolutely. All right. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And René, thank you. And I promise you today I won't tease you with the social media anymore. I think it's fantastic to have a driver like you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I'm sure the fans love it too.
Bye-bye.
All right. Back to the commentator.
Absolutely right. What a legend he is behind the wheel and out of the car, René Rast. It's been mega to have him in the championship, involved over the last few years because he was away last year racing in Formula E. But he did pop up a couple of times at Spielberg. He turned up and scared everybody to death because he turned up in his race suit, but he was doing some demo work and some media work. But he was behind the microphone doing some co-commentary, as I said earlier, and already a 3-time DTM champion, having come in 2017. And of course, he has got this phenomenal record. He's had 85 races. He's won 29% of them, and he's finished on the podium 52% of the time. So every other race, on average, you find René Rast on the podium. Before that, he was a Porsche legend, wasn't he? A Porsche Carrera Cup Super Cup champion, Porsche Carrera Cup Germany. Anything he's raced, whether it's GTs, sports prototypes at Le Mans, DTM Class 1 cars, GT cars in DTM, he's just quick, isn't he?
He's a brilliant driver, and slightly worryingly for me and the burgeoning years is René reminded me that I was the voice of his Polo Cup win when he was
VW Polo Cup
2014, 2015.
What was the VW Polo Cup champion in 2005?
Yes, of course I put a 1 in there. Yes,
17 years ago.
I'm very old, but he has. I mean, you're absolutely right. For me, his dominance really shone for me in the Super Cup and also in the Carrera Cup. And interestingly, at that time with the DTM cars, as we've talked about the Class 1 era, the Porsche and the DTM cars are so very different, weren't they? But actually, René has taken to the DTM champion. He's taken to it like a duck to water. But he's just such a nice guy and such a talented driver. And you're absolutely right. He is the sort of driver that on a sack barrow, he would still win a race, wouldn't he? You know, he can adapt to whatever.
Yeah, podium finisher in Formula E. I think for me, he falls into that category of, he's got to be in that very short list of drivers that you never made it to Formula One, but you think they definitely could have really competed if they'd had the chance.
Yeah, I think you're right, and yeah, there is a number of those drivers, and he definitely would be in that category. Yes, I could completely agree with you, Chris.
But not to take away from what's been a mega career, which is still blooming. Still an exciting year ahead for him with Formula E and McLaren, and their entry into Formula E next year. BMW. Fingers crossed we get him back here in DTM.
It's a possibility, isn't it?
Absolutely. I don't think he's just going to be doing one championship next year. It's going to be a busy old time for René Rast, and a great ambassador for the sport there, as we've seen. We joke about it, but all this social media stuff he's doing and answering questions, being like, he could be sat down relaxing now, but he's trying his best to interact with the fans again, as we've said before, which is something they all have to do these days. Racing drivers back in the 70s and 80s wouldn't have had to deal with all of this. Did the odd radio interview, odd TV interview, and now it's you get out of the car, you have your debrief, and you've got to look after all these media side of things as well. It must have been a couple of hours after free practice yesterday over in the centre at the back of the grandstands, where there's a huge, basically shopping mall here at the Nürburgring.
That's right.
Full of motorsport merchandise shops, and Audi have got to stand there, and Kelvin Vandalinder still 2 hours afterwards in his full race suit, still doing media duties, having photos taken. So it comes with the job, but it is busy, probably even busier at any time in the past, with these drivers having to do all of these media duties and social media duties with the marketing world that we have today. Right, Verena, you found somebody else to speak to, or some more news for us at least down the other side of the track.
So here's another man who's in good spirits. That's Kelvin Vandalinder. And you're having fun despite the fact it's been a long day with little action.
Yeah, it's always good. We can have power naps on the job, so You know, I had my Kit Kats. Exactly, we get paid to have power naps, so it's always good. Had a couple of Kit Kats, had a coffee, so all is good.
And we spoke to René a few times earlier, and every time I see René, he's doing social media. We made fun
I think
of
he
him.
wants an influencer career now. I don't know. I prefer to stick to racing. So.
Oh, but come on, how many hours today have you been on social media, either live or just checking out the hot chicks or whatever you do on Insta?
I mean, I'm genuinely quite bad on my phone. I have to be honest, Instagram was like a lot of hours on my phone, but actually today, to be honest, it's been chilled, you know, just been taking it in. So it's a very unusual day. I can't remember ever having a race not taking place or like a qualifying not taking place. So it's a bit of a weird one, you know, everyone doesn't really know what to do. So
Yeah, but
now
I
we're
think,
here.
But would you agree that everybody's really, they have smiles on their face, they're enjoying themselves, even though you guys are born to be racing and you're kind of bored here without the action, but everybody's in a good mood.
Yeah, we definitely are bored, that's for sure. We were actually thinking, me and my mechanics, to go karting because it's like a karting arena here. So maybe I take the mechanics for a quick round and see who's the quickest there. But yeah, other than that, we're just hanging around, looking at the beautiful weather.
Yeah, but what do you think? I mean, we still got some time, right? I think they said in the next 2 hours they're going to decide. What do you think?
I hope for your sake that we go racing, to be honest, because 2 more hours of this for you guys will be tough. Anyway, I hope the fans are having, you know, at least you guys have given them a cool show, and maybe you can see a bit of behind the scenes stuff. So it's not been too boring for them.
I mean, come on, we've been doing so many interviews. How many times did I have you today? 3 times or something?
Yeah, probably third time now.
So yeah, René even more, 5 times. So yeah, we've been doing a lot of interviews, but it's just so unfortunate because it's been 8 weeks without DTM racing, and now finally we're all back. We're like all hot to get started here, and then
I know we were all buzzing. You know, it's 8 weeks. We're not used to such a long summer break, especially for us drivers. You know, we race almost every weekend, and then you know you come back, you're fired up, you're ready to go, and then you know.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Kind of a shame. But what did you do the last 8 weeks? I mean, I follow you on Instagram.
Yeah.
I know you're keeping busy, but...
I'm almost as busy as you. So I saw you also on holiday a little bit on the beach and stuff. I tried to copy you a little bit with the sun and the beach. So yeah, I had fun. I was in Mallorca with my brother, some friends from South Africa. We had a great time. Mallorca is like the German Cape Town in a way. The Germans love it there. And we're kind of getting into that as well. I went to London to visit my girlfriend for a couple of weeks. So just the standard stuff, you know, living a life away from racing, not thinking too much about racing, which is sometimes nice, you know, because that's all we know. And then you meet some people outside of racing, talk about other topics that aren't just about driving in circles. So it was a nice way to switch off for a bit.
But I'm sure you also still have to do your fitness regime. Like you do gym stuff, or what do you do? Like talk us through it.
Can you not see?
Ooh, look at those muscles.
No, of course. I mean, you know, we do the beach runs and stuff, and we do our normal routine. But at the same time, those 8 weeks you really want to use to reload your batteries and not like drain them anymore. So for sure, you do your stuff. You do what feels good in the morning, just a nice refreshing wake up run or something, and then eating healthy. You know, have a couple of wines in the evenings every now and then. And then, yeah, basically it's all about relaxing, right?
Absolutely. But if you could choose, would you prefer an 8-week break and really calm down and enjoy it? Or would you rather be, I don't know, have a short break and just be racing?
Well, I did that for 5 years when I was racing in GT Masters. We had like 30 race weekends a year, driving in different races, Nürburgring 24-hour and so on. So it's nice for me to have the summer break now. And I have to say, as race drivers, we do have it good. You know, a lot of people always say we have it easy and stuff. We do have it kind of easy, you know, like end of the year, I get to go back home to South Africa for a couple of weeks. Now in the season, we also have a lot of holidays. So, you know, we work hard when we're in the car. We're sweating a lot in there when it's a hot race day, but at the same time, we have it good and just enjoying life. You know, I think that's the cool part about it is, you know, when you're young, you can still enjoy your life and see cool things and do cool things. So.
And it being the second half of the season, what are you hoping for? Maybe a turnaround in the second half? Or
yeah, of course. It's not fun driving at the back, I can tell you that. But, you know, that's a little bit how racing goes. You see it in all different championships. You have drivers that have good years, that have bad years. You saw it in Formula E also. I was really hoping Edo was going to win this year. I thought it was his year in Formula E. And then you saw it just kind of like, you know, nothing really changed. Same driver, but just didn't go his way in the end. And a little bit my same scenario here. We've been quick at times, the Nürburgring on pole position, but then in the race things just go wrong, or you know you have a bit of bad luck. And you know when you don't finish 5 races in a year out of 8 in the first half of the season, it's difficult to really be in the championship fight. On the other hand, it's been great for my brother. He had a tough year last year, as you know, and now he's the star of the show a little bit. So you see how quickly things can change in that moment. And I respect that. I respect how many good guys are here. There's so many good guys that deserve to win. So can't always win, but hopefully in the second half there'll be a bit more of that.
Well, I hope that either today or most likely tomorrow you're going to shine. So thank you
That'd
so
be
much,
great.
Kelvin.
Thanks a lot, guys, and have a bit of fun. And hopefully tomorrow the sun is shining again.
Yay, definitely. Thank you very much. Back to you.
Thanks, Verena. Well, Kelvin always brings a bit of sunshine to proceedings, doesn't he? He's got just that endlessly positive vibe about him, hasn't he? He's always great to hear from, always a good interview, and obviously a mega quick driver as well. Two-time Nürburgring 24-hour race winner, ADAC GT Masters champion, close to winning the championship last year in DTM. In his, remember, first season of DTM racing, having led the first half of the championship seasons. And he's another one that came up through VW Racing, the VW Cup in South Africa, and Sirocco R Cup, and for a third-generation racer as well. His dad, Sean, a South African touring car champion. His granddad was a racing driver as well. And, of course, his brother's on the grid and was leading the championship up until the Nürburgring, Kelvin Vandalinder, the only driver this year to win more than one race, Kelvin. Who had lots and lots of bad luck last year, as Kelvin was saying. But it's good to see, other than the Nürburgring, it's been a good year for Sheldon. So great to hear from Kelvin. And Verena's found somebody else to have a chat with down in the pit lane.
We start today. So in other words, I mean, you're really in the best position to be in, because obviously everybody's in the same boat, but you're the leader of the championship. So how has your day gone? I mean, it started since what, at 8 in the morning, and now it's 4. So how have you been passing your time?
It's been probably the most boring day since I raced in DTM, so since this year. Yeah, not much action, unfortunately, due to weather conditions, as we all know. I really hope it's gonna improve, but if I look at it at the moment, it doesn't look like. So yeah, as I said, as I told you a few hours ago, I hope you're gonna race today somehow. But it's not our decision. We need to wait for race control.
And otherwise, obviously, it's going to be the big day tomorrow, and you're leading the pack, you're leading the championship, and then there's Sheldon and René, so 9 and 10 points between you guys. So obviously, it's only the second half of the season starting now, so we still have 8 or 7 races to go. So how tough do you think will it be? Because obviously from here anything can change, anything can happen. We all know that. That's motorsport. But you're going to do everything, push really hard, obviously, because you really want that title, don't you?
Sure. I mean, that's why we're here. Yeah, we will do everything we can in order to get to our goal. But yeah, first of all, we need to think about this weekend and ideally go racing today and tomorrow and try to score as many points as possible. And then we will think race by race, on a race by race basis, because there's no, yeah, you can't really take big calculations in this championship. I mean, the first half of the season has been great. It's been positive, 7 times in the points out of 8 races. So I think we've been really consistent and really competitive almost everywhere, which is positive. But as I said, we need to keep that level. Ideally, even improve it if we want to be at the top at the end of the year.
And I think you said just shortly before Nürburgring started, this weekend started, you said that it's not always about just winning the races, but being constantly really good. And that's, I guess, what you did. You've been constantly collecting all the points, which makes you the championship leader now.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I would love to take a win. That's clear. If I have the chance to fight for victory in one of the races, I would do everything I can to take it and bring it home. That's clear. But if you're not in that position, you have to take the next possible best result. That's, I think, what we managed to do really well in the first half. I think we would have had a chance to win, but yeah, unfortunately we didn't take the win in Portimao in the first race, for example. It was looking really good. But it's the way it is, you know. At the end of the day, it's the points that you collect. As you said, it's the one that it's what matters the most. And but you still get the most points for the win. So at the end, if I can fight for victory in some race and take it, then I will do anything.
Yeah, in Portimao you were third twice. So, and we still have 4 race weekends to go to take a victory or maybe more victories home. So I mean, there's still a big chance.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the chance is there. It's not only for us; it's for everyone. We know the level in this championship is amazing. So, yeah, that's actually the nice part, and also the annoying part, that there's so many contenders and so many competitive cars, drivers, teams, and everyone is basically capable of fighting for victory. That's what makes the DTM so special and so interesting. That you have to be at the top of your game if you want to fight at the top consistently.
Obviously, when you started with the DTM, you knew how competitive it would be, or it is. But when you then actually started, did you get a different feel for it? Did you kind of get this feeling of, whew, now I know what they mean about the DTM being competitive?
Yeah, no, it's actually what I expected, because I know most of the guys that race in DTM, obviously from the past and from other championships as well. So we know each other really well. I know what kind of level this is, and it's the only, in my opinion, the most competitive championship that I can see on the globe at the moment, especially on GT. So yeah, as I said before, you have to be at the top of your game to be consistent, because being competitive once is one thing, but trying to be competitive every race, it's a different thing.
Absolutely, and it's fantastic having you and Lamborghini on board here as part of the family. So thank you so much, Mirko, and let's hope that maybe we'll see some action today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Thanks very much, Farina. Yeah, great to hear from our championship leader. I'm sure that first win for Lamborghini in DTM is just around the corner as well. And of course, they're new to DTM, but they've very much been involved as driver and team for a number of years in GT racing. Blancpain, which have won the championship together, Mirko Bortolotti and the Grasser Racing team. And Manuel Reuter coming in as team manager, who we heard from earlier as well, with all of his race experience and DTM experience. Somebody who won here at the Nürburgring. The first season DTM came to this track in the year 2000. The first 2 race weekends, and the first was in August. And pole and both wins went to DTM legend Bernd Schneider, the 5-time champion. So he got the first 2 wins in DTM at this circuit, but a couple of months later they came back, and it was Manuel Reuter that got the wins. So he's very much a part of the team now at Grasser Racing team, and great to have Mirko here. And he's a driver who's not just been going around picking up the points and picking up podiums. He's pulled off some mega moves this year and some great overtakes. So he will, I'm sure, if he gets half a chance, go for race victories this year. But as he said, Dave, it's in a hugely strong place, this championship at the moment. You've got very experienced drivers, but it's also been great to see some of the young drivers coming through. As we got Esteban Mout, who was really impressive last year, the 19-year-old as he is now, the Belgian driver. Some great results, some great battles last year in the T3 Motorsport Lamborghini. Hasn't had the luck this year. Spoke to him yesterday. He's had some things go wrong, really, when the car has been quick. He had a steering problem yesterday in practice, but he's a quick driver. He'll be up there if the luck changes. And because Theo Uverhaus, 17 years old, coming into the championship. You and I, Dave, live in the UK where you have to be 17 to drive on the roads, and this guy's about to go and race at the highest level this weekend.
Absolutely, one of the most competitive championships on the globe, and Theo Uverhaus is going to be on the grid. Yeah, it's remarkable, and it's a really good story for the sort of feeder that is occurring on the DTM paddock, of course, with the Theo having come from the BMW M2 Cup and then into the DTM Trophy, and then making it to the DTM, which is proving that ladder, if you like, Chris, is working. And we hear a lot about this in motorsport, the ladder of where drivers and how drivers progress, and that's when you get a grid as full of talent as the one we have here in DTM, and those drivers have all raced in. And we were talking about Renault just a few moments ago, going back to the Polo Cup, and and it's really interesting when you look at some of these drivers. You look at the likes of Arjun Maini, who you and I both remarked on how talented he was back in the Formula 3 days, the single-seater days. Drivers have come from different backgrounds, but they all elevate themselves to this. And what Mirko was saying there, he was more than well aware of the fact of just how competitive the DTM grid is. He knows all the drivers as well from various other championships too. But it really does play out. It is one of the most highly respected and most competitive grids anywhere in the world.
It's probably just about the hardest time to come into the championship as a young driver. And I'm thinking about David Schumacher as well, because he hasn't scored points yet. He hasn't been quite up there, but he's been knocking on the door. You've seen the flashes of pace from him on practice days and in some of the qualifying sessions and the races. He's generally gone forwards, but he's come from purely a single-seater background. So racing the FIA F3 Championship for the last couple of seasons. So he's got to get used to a completely different way of driving, completely different cars, aero levels, ABS brakes, which is something he said that has been the biggest struggle for him. He's not used to that. He said there's a lot more contact than I'm used to in the racing. racing, and he's having to get used to all of that, but also in amongst a field of massively competitive drivers more than ever before.
Yeah, and it's amazing, isn't it, that these young drivers are not daunted by that. I mean, David is an absolutely lovely young man as well, and a real joy to talk to. And very, very different background, very different experience that he's in now in the DTM in comparison to what he has been in. Yes, it's remarkable how these drivers don't feel overawed by, they just come in and they give it everything that they've got. And we're going to see good things from David, I'm sure.
Incidentally, there was a charity football match on Wednesday night in Frankfurt, and part of it was
Did you play?
Organised. I did not play. Part of it
Just
was
thought
to.
Sorry,
didn't even ask me to referee or be on the subs bench. But there was lots of celebrity sports stars, but lots of racing drivers and 4 DTM drivers were involved, and it was a charity fundraising event. Part of the money going to the Schumacher family and their various charities.
Oh, good.
And
great.
the racing driver team won. I think it was 11-10, but he had drivers Kelvin Vandalinder, Maxi Goetz were out there playing pretty well as well. Felipe Fraga, who, as I commented yesterday, he's got to be a good player because he's Brazilian, and they just grow up with the sport, don't they? So that was a great bit of fun.
He's a Brazilian and coming from with an Italian team. Yeah, he's got to be good, hasn't he? Yeah, he's got to be.
We can hand back to Verena now. She's got some more news for us coming up. I can say, looking out of the window, no further activity on the grid, and that sort of brightness that was in the sky has, I'm afraid, recurred to what it was before. So I think from the commentary box, that's it from Dave Richardson and me, Chris Hartley. For now, we can hand back to Verena with some more information on the day.
So I found one more driver, Philip Eng. Good to see you. You were all chilling, relaxing in the bus. So how are your spirits?
Well, I feel very sorry for the fans because they came here and the fog is so intense. I really hope that we can drive still today because I'm also keen on driving, obviously. But yeah, I was just chilling with Sheldon and Kelvin, watching F1 qualifying, which is about to start. There is nothing else to do. So I really hope we can get out and put on a good show.
Absolutely. We're hoping the decision is going to be on soon, but now tomorrow definitely you guys will be racing. Now I guess you will push even harder, right?
Yeah, I really hope that we can have a go today. We only did a short long run yesterday, so it would be good to see how the tires are developing in the race for today. But yeah, I mean, the weather is something we cannot influence, so fingers crossed we can do it tomorrow, or hopefully also today.
Hopefully, we're crossing our fingers. So, Philip, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll see you later on outside in the car.
I hope so too.
Or latest tomorrow. Thank you so much, Philip. And as soon as we get news, we will get back to you. But for now, that's it. So thank you so much for holding on and fighting with us and hoping that the weather is going to improve. See you later. Thank you.
Hat noch mal geschaut, we're not quite there, hat er beim letzten Outing gesagt. Insofern warten wir jetzt mal ab, ob er diesmal den Daumen nach oben gibt und wir das Rennen heute doch noch hier starten wird. Genau, da ist man noch nicht live gestartet, aber das glaube ich wird jetzt hier nicht so ein Problem darstellen, weil das ist mehr trocken als nass. Also würde ich sagen, glaube ich, keinen Unterschied geben.
è tutto abbastanza tutto ma
zweite Halbzeit der DTM wird angepfiffen und Dennis Olsen steht jetzt bei Olli. Der steht nicht ganz, wir sind schon auch aber ich glaube nicht, dass 10 Minuten gegen Lose der ziemlich schlechte hier auf den Nürburgring. So after the cars yesterday, what's the expectation for this Saturday right here in Nürburgring? Wow, definitely it's a bit disappointing start before, but we had a fast car yesterday and I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to want to win, so we'll do our best and have moves around the start. Ja, schade, nachdem geht es gestern so und hinten starten zu müssen, wir auch jetzt natürlich den Start jetzt auch nicht zu überlegen und dann ein gutes Rennen zu haben. Nur wir kriegen jetzt das Knie vom Motor. Eine dritte Pole, the first lap will be tricky. There is a benefit which is on track. Everyone seems to be quite right, but we're going to see what we can do. For sure, we have to really bring ourselves forward and look further out. That's the only thing we can do from here. So we'll definitely do it and see what we can do. Ja, vorwärts, das ist der Ingenieur gesagt hat, und die Strecke noch ein bisschen schlüpfrig, ein bisschen rutschig, aber das ist genau auch die Bedingung auf den Nürburgring. Also, all the best for you and the best for you.
Welcome along, everybody, as we get set for the 5th weekend of DTM 2022. And we move into the second half of the season. We are right in the middle of the Eifel Mountains. The nearest city is Cologne, about 65 kilometres away, and we're surrounded by forests and hills. But in amongst it, one of the most famous names in motorsport, the Nürburgring, the legendary Nordschleife, which winds its way for 20 plus kilometres through the hills. And this Grand Prix circuit, first built in 1984 and home to DTM races since the year 2000. This is where we're going to start the second half of the season, finally, after a long, long wait and the summer break. Let's head now then down to Verena Vriet in the pit lane.
Hello everyone, here we are at the Nürburgring and we thank you for your patience because we all have been waiting for this race finally to commence, but the fog, the terrible weather conditions just couldn't make it possible earlier to start the race because obviously in the DTM safety is first. But now finally we are here, so ready to get racing, and the spectators, absolutely amazing. The spectators stayed here as well, and yeah, it was raining, it was cold, it was foggy, but they're still here, and now we're so eager to get racing. We tried to entertain you with the interviews, the drivers were entertaining each other, and yes, we tried to make the best out of it, and we all know at the Nürburgring anything is possible, also in regards to the weather. But now we are finally going racing, and we're very excited because it's going to be a super exciting race, that's for sure. The drivers have been waiting, no qualifying, no race till now, so finally after hours of waiting we are ready to get commenced here. So hold on tight, and now let's get racing. Here's your commentator. Have fun.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. I'm Chris Hartley, and finally we're here to talk you through what is going to be the first race of the weekend, the first part of this weekend at the Nürburgring, and round 9 of DTM 2022. There's been literally nothing on track today because of the fog, and that included an abandonment of qualifying this morning. So the rules state they will line up in the order in which they lie in the championship. So the championship leader, Mirko Bortolotti, will be on pole position. Kelvin Vandalinder, who led the championship prior to the last weekend at the Nürburgring, starts alongside. René Rast has moved up to third in the championship. That's where he starts, but he wasn't that quick in the free practice sessions yesterday. Nico Müller will line up fourth. Lucas Auer and Felipe Fraga will complete the top three. We've got Ricardo Feller and Marco Whitman, the former double champion, sharing row 4. Lucas Stoltz and Thomas Preining, winner at the Nürburgring, to complete the top 10. On his 37th birthday today, Maro Engel is going to line up 11th on the grid with Dennis Olsen, who was quickest in free practice 2 yesterday, alongside. So that's row 6. Row 7, Kelvin Vandalinder, third in the championship last year, a winner at the Nürburgring in 2021, and Philip Eng starts alongside him 14th on the grid. That's the 7th row. The 8th row, Lawrence Van Toor and the reigning champion Maximilian Gutz, they're 15th and 16th. Dev Gore, first ever American to get a DTM podium at Imola a couple of rounds ago, starts 17th on the grid, with Arjun Minor, who was quick yesterday in free practice, starting alongside him to complete the 9th row. The 10th row is Clement Schmidt and Michael Grenier, another driver that was quick yesterday in the Mercedes, but because he hasn't scored too many points this year, has to start 20th on the grid. Nick Cassidy, who's missed a couple of rounds due to his other racing commitments in the Formula E, he's back in DTM and starts 21st on the grid in the AlphaTauri AF course of the car, which won one of the races here last year at the Nürburgring at the hands of Alex Albon before he returned to Formula 1 racing. Mario Zug, the youngster, number 66, lines up alongside Nick Cassidy, 22nd on the grid, so that is your 11th row. Row 12, Maximilian Buch and Esteban Moot, two young drivers in the field, and then we've got, as the crowd cheer the fact that the grid is cleared and we're about to get racing underway, just behind then we've got 25th and 26th on the grid, Rolf Inischen and David Schumacher. The final row, Alessio De Leda, and Theo Uverhaus makes his debut in the DTM, a guest driver this weekend for Valkenhorst Motorsport. He's come up through the BMW M2 Cup. The last season and a half he's been racing in the DTM Trophy. He's been a winner in that category with Valkenhorst, and they've bought an extra car this weekend, and he steps up into DTM for the first time. Theo Uverhaus, the 17-year-old German, about to become the youngest ever DTM race starter, beating the previous record, which goes all the way back to 2013, which was held by Pascal Wehrlein, who was then 18 when he started his first DTM race at Hockenheim. So the formation lap is there. The track we can finally see for the first time in more than 24 hours since free practice 2 yesterday. There's still some fog around, but it is massively different. It's suddenly lifted. We all kind of thought that was it. We weren't going to be able to get racing underway, but the organisers kept on hanging in, hoping that we'd get the chance. And, well, all good things come to those who wait. We're finally going to see some race action. It is 55 minutes plus 1 lap of racing. There is a mandatory pit stop. That is taken between the 10th and 40th minutes of the race. It can be taken these days if there is a full course yellow or a safety car, and still count as your mandatory pit stop. And tyres will be changed during that pit stop. Rear wheels first, then front wheels. No refuelling these days in DTM. We've got 28 cars on the grid, all about to tackle this Nürburgring 3 8.629 kilometre long circuit. It's the sprint version of the circuit that we use. They don't use quite the full Grand Prix track. So they go down into turn 1, which is a very tight, almost hairpin at the Yokohama S. It's a first gear corner, and it usually gives us some very entertaining starts to the races. Then they go through the AMG Arena in second and third gear through turns 2, 3 and 4. Short back straight then to the Goodyear hairpin where they turn off the Grand Prix circuit. And then it is a left-right flick through two very quick corners at Ravenel Curva and Bilstein Curva, and then they move up the very quick back straight. The second sector is very quick indeed as they head up through Ad Van Bogen, the right-hander taken flat out. They're already up to fifth gear by the time they get through that, and then it's an uphill climb to the final chicane at the Vidal chicane, which is turns 9 and 10, a left-right flick through there where you really attack the curbs. This is the exit from Ad Van Bogen. At turn 8, up towards turns 9 and 10. You can see there from the TV pictures, which even tend to flatten things out, but it is quite a climb up towards that chicane. And then the final turn is the Hyundai N-Curva, second gear turn. Get on the power early because you are then on the gas all the way down the start-finish straight and a long run down towards that big braking zone at turn 1. Chris Hartley then here in the commentary box, actually able to see out the commentary box window now, a circuit ahead of me. Fantastic effort from the spectators who've waited all day for this. They've been here in their thousands, and well done to the organisers for bearing with us. Thanks for your patience as well, watching wherever you are in the world. We're 3.5 hours behind. We couldn't do anything about it because of the weather, but we are going to give you some racing now. Mirko Bortolotti then on 89 points, the championship leader, is about to lead them round, looking for his first win, Lamborghini's first win in DTM. Sheldon Vandalinder in the Schubert Motorsport BMW, red and yellow alongside. All good things come to those who wait. Here we go then, at the Nürburgring. Finally, we are underway, and it's a great start for Mirko Bortolotti, and René Rast might get second place here. He's up the inside of Sheldon Vandalinder. Felipe Fraga, the Brazilian in the Ferrari, making a good start around the outside. It all tightens up here. And there are different lines you can take, and Sheldon Vandalinder trying to go out wide to get the lead of the race in the BMW at turn 2. He might still do it, but Bortolotti hanging on around the outside in the Lamborghini, and Fraga goes through all the way up to second place. A good start off the line for René Rast, but he's shuffled down the order to 4th or 5th place. But what a tight run that was, and credit to the drivers. After 3.5 hours of waiting, they've suddenly had to switch their brains on, into gear, go racing out of nowhere, and they've given us a fantastic, clean first run through the opening corners. So it is Lamborghini and Ferrari at the head of the field. Bortolotti versus Fraga. Fraga, who's only had 2 race finishes this year, but they've both been on the podium. A win last time out at the Nürburgring, going for a strong second half of the season here. And he is now switching back to the inside to draw alongside the championship leader, who is just ahead of him, but maybe about to succumb as they go through the right-hand kick. The Ferrari coming through, and Felipe Fraga has got his nose in front, but he's on the outside line as they go into the chicane. He's done it, though. The Brazilian goes through. Fraga leads here at the Nürburgring. Bortolotti back down to second place. There's been a mega start from Lucas Auer as well, from 5th on the grid up to 3rd. Sheldon Vandalinder had a really good go at the lead of the race through the first couple of corners, but has wound up down in 4th place. Ricardo Feller has progressed up to 5th. Nico Müller 6th. René Rast has dropped down to 8th place at the end of the first lap of the race, despite, as I say, a very good getaway. So Fraga leads, looking for back-to-back races after all the trouble that he's had. Lucas Stoltz has had a spin coming out of the final corner. He's been quick so far this weekend, but unfortunately he's now going to have to come right from the back of the fields in the blue and yellow HRT Mercedes. So Lucas Stoltz gets going again at the circuit where he made his DTM debut as a guest driver last year. So he gets going. Everybody else safely through that first lap, though. Fraga leads, Bortolotti in second place. And then 3rd, Auer. 4th, Sheldon Vandalinder. 5th, Ricardo Feller. Thomas Preining, Nürburgring race winner. First ever Porsche DTM winner. 6th, spots of rain on the camera lens. But it is dry tyres for now. It is a dry surface, but what levels of grip there are, nobody knows, because I've had to wait such a long time since yesterday's free practice session, and there was no qualifying this morning. There, René Rast just about fending off Dennis Olsen in one of the SSR Performance Porsches, the yellow and black machine. They're battling for 8th and 9th positions. Lawrence Ventura's teammate is outside the top 10, currently running in 12th place. And into the chicane on lap 2, thudding over the curbs goes Felipe Fraga. Had a good chat with him this morning, and he was so relieved, delighted to finally get that first race victory after so much bad luck. He's had accident damage, he's had punctures, he's had fires on the car. He's had a lot of bad luck this year, as Michael Grenier is about to go up the insides of the 66 Audi of Mario Soak. The Attempter Racing car is past. The Mercedes should get through there. That's for 14th place. And here's an old rivalry we've seen lots of times in recent years. Battling in different teams these days, of course. Nico Müller for Rosberg these days, just ahead of René Rast, the three-time champion. There's a bit of contact between the pair of them, and René Rast switches to the inside, and there's a puncture there, I'm afraid. Right rear puncture for the Team Rosberg driver. So Nico Müller slipping down the order after what had been a pretty good start to the race for him. And there was that contact there as René Rast switched from the outside and pulled to the inside. He must have just clipped the right rear corner of his long-term rival. René Rast pushed hard for his 2 championship titles as he goes side by side through the corner, and big tack slapper there for the SSR Performance Porsche, getting sideways of Olsen. And also that battle with René Rast was Maximilian Gutz, the reigning champion. It's the Porsche that came off worse, and Olsen with the trip to the grass as well. Looks like he might have damage as well. So pretty robust racing out there at the moment. The 94 Porsche dropping back only. Müller behind him, and then Stoltz, who had that problem catching them up rapidly after his spin at the end of lap 1, but just a case of limping back down to the pits, I'm afraid, for the Porsche and the Audi. The Mercedes already whipping past them, Lukas Stoltz. So Nico Müller's bad luck continues. He's been a multiple race winner here at the Nürburgring. Felipe Fraga going through. There's Rolf Inischen in the number 19 green GRT Lamborghini, trying to gain a place at the inside through turn 11. Battling with Clement Schmidt, who was very quick in the first free practice session yesterday. Rain looks like it's starting to come as well. 1 or 2 spots on the commentary box window. Tommy Preining there down the inside at the hairpin, just ahead. Like you can see, the driver second in the championship, Kelvin Vandalinder. 4th place for him. Feller and Preining battling just behind. A replay of the start. We've got Olsen and Müller into the pits in front of me in the commentary box window. Good start this from Kelvin Vandalinder. Let's actually look at number 33, René Rast. Really good start here. It's amazing, really. He ended up in 8th place because it looked like he was going to be second at least going into that first sequence of corners. But there are different lines on the exit to turn 1. And what looks good on the way in isn't necessarily good on the way out of the turn. From that angle from the grandstand, you really get the impression of just how tight a corner that is. And then the battle for the lead of the race between the Ferrari and the Lamborghini, and it was Felipe Fraga that got through, looking for his 2nd consecutive race victory, having won race 2 before the summer break at the Nürburgring. And this is what it looked like from Felipe's point of view with the onboard camera. Clever drive that. A Ferrari with plenty of acceleration and traction found a way through at Advenbogen, and there was the replay of what happened to Lukas Stoltz, and I fear he may have been tapped into a spin there. It didn't look like that was all his own work. I think there may have been some contacts, up the inside with the Mercedes as they went through the turn. It was only light, and it was 2 drivers going for the same position. Then it was 3 abreast here with Gutz, Rast, and the Porsche of Dennis Olsen, which came off worst and dropped all of those places and had to come into the pits at the end of that lap with damage and potentially a puncture for him as well. So René Rast involved in the thick of the action. Maximilian Gutz involved in some battles out there as well. And they are still running in 7th and 8th. Gutz just ahead of Rast at the moment. And Dev Gauls had an excursion by the looks of things, so not a good race so far this for the Team Rosberg outfit. Kimmo Limatainen, who was refreshed when I spoke to him yesterday after an unusually long summer break, started work to do. And he said it was nice to finally, first time in years, get a proper summer break. Straight back to work now straight back to work. We've had to wait quite a few hours for the race to get underway. But he's back to business as usual now in DTM, but not a good start to the race, I'm afraid, for Team Rosberg. So Fraga edging away, 1.9 seconds clear. You were looking at number 7, Ricardo Feller in the Abt Sportsline Audi. A blue machine in 6th place, having a decent start to the race. Also a race winner this year with his victory in Italy in Imola. And it looked like the Dev Gore incident was a coming together with David Schumacher there in the number 27 Winwood Mercedes. Winwood, one of the local teams here to the Nürburgring, and he really took over that curve, didn't he? That's a big high curve and a big drop-off, which would have done further damage potentially to the underneath of the car. You have to be careful with these cars. Now, Michael Grenier in the background in the orange and blue, number 55 Mercedes, having a big go here to try and get Laurens Vanthoor and get 10th place into the championship points. Over the curbs, he thirds, maybe, but not quite clipping the Porsche. Nick Cassidy in the second of the Ferraris tries to get in on the action as well. And they're fighting just outside the points. You've got Marco Whitman, double champion, behind him. Maro Engel on his 37th birthday in the pink number 88 at Mercedes, the Team Grupper M run car. Former Nürburgring 24-hour race winner, so quality everywhere you look in this field. Windscreen wipers on, track getting slippier and slippier as more and more spots of rain start to come down. Ricardo Feller just behind the blue and red Porsche of number 24, the young Austrian Tommy Preining, and the former Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland champion, now a DTM race winner, able to fend them off. He was very quick yesterday in both of the free practice sessions, Tommy. Timo Bernhard, former Le Mans winner, Nürburgring, 5 times a Nürburgring 24-hour winner as the team boss at Team Bernhard 75. Describes this as his backyard, his living room. Came here when he was 5 years old to watch his dad Rudiger race for the first time. Timo Bernhard, now a very successful team boss, and with a young charge that has been excellent so far in the season, his debut season. Thomas Preining. Incident involving car 4 noted, it says on the screen, as Kelvin Vandalinder and Lucas Auer go side by side. And this is the battle for the final spot on the podium. In the early stages of the race, the BMW's got his nose in front, but Lucas Auer is not one for giving up. He stays on the outside line. He'll try and cut back for the left-hander at turn 2, but I think Sheldon's got the job done here, and that's a nice move from the young South African who comes through, and he's looking for his first podium at the Nürburgring. Best result for Sheldon previously, a 4th place finish. He's had a 6th here as well, but never quite on the podium, but he's certainly in a podium position at the moment. So Fraga and Bortolotti the top 2. Sheldon Vandalinder with that move up to 3rd. Lucas Auer, number 22 Mercedes, down to 4th, and then as they held each other up, the next group of 3 really rapidly caught them up, didn't they? With Thomas Preining in the Porsche, Ricardo Feller in the Audi, and Maximilian Gutz going well after a strong weekend at the Nürburgring last time out, where he got 2 6th place finishes. He's there in 7th, Philipp Eng in 8th. René Rast 9th has dropped back behind Philipp Eng, and Laurens Vanthoor just about hanging on to that final point in 10th place as it stands. Looks like a good exit there from the Mercedes of Maximilian Gutz, who has said that the last 4 tracks on the calendar should suit the Mercedes. He's confident of a much stronger second half of the season, the reigning champion. So consistent points finishes, but no big points finishes, no podium finishes so far. Nick Cassidy trying to get the AlphaTauri. Hey, of course, a Ferrari up the inside of Michael Grenier's Mercedes, but the Canadian fends him off for now in the 55 car, and it is nose to tail between Maximilian Gutz in the all-pink Mercedes, trying to get around the outside of Ricardo Feller's Audi. The Swiss driver's on the inside line. He's got the better line for now, but Maximilian Gutz swings out wide. He's going to have the inside line for the next corner. He gets through as Lucas Auer goes wheel to wheel with Thomas Preining just ahead. The Mercedes stays ahead of the Porsche, but behind them, positions have switched. Good move that from Maximilian Gutz, and 6th place. He now rises 2, and he's looking very pacey here. So after a tough start to his title defence, Maximilian Gutz is starting to see the old Bavarian spirit coming back here. Maro Engel's 37th birthday, and during the break, he was presented with a chocolate birthday cake. Maximilian Gutz put it in his face, and he's going to get probably some revenge for that at some point later this season from Maro Engel. Birthday balloons on Maro's car earlier on this weekend, as I'm afraid David Schumacher, who's showing a lot of promise this season, is out of the race. Dennis Olsen, who finished 2nd at the Nürburgring in race 1 behind Thomas Preining, and he's out of the race from that earlier contact we saw. Nico Müller has gone back out, but it looks like Schumacher and Olsen are the early retirements. Stoltz is on an outlap as well, so he has been into the pits already. So an early stopper. Remember, once 10 minutes are complete, you can do your mandatory pit stop up until the end of the 40th minute of the race. Oh, swinging out move here. Lucas Auer ahead of the Porsche of Thomas Preining. Preining dives back down the inside, though. Gets the place back, and then he's going to have to go at the Mercedes as well. And Thomas Preining gets 2 for the price of 1. Charges at the inside of Maximilian Gutz and gets the place back. So that will put him up to 4th place now. Gutz in 5th, Auer in 6th, and just behind them, Ricardo Feller in 7th place as we hand down to the pit lane and get some news from Verena.
I'm here with Dennis Olsen, and Dennis, I mean, you've been waiting all day in order to get racing, and then within the first few minutes, René hit you, there was contact, and looking at your car, I guess it was just over too soon.
Well, to be fair, I was really happy to get through the start, first of all, but then René and Nico was fighting a bit in turn 2. And that gave me the chance to go on the inside into turn 3 and then keep going on the outside through to the shortcut. But I thought I already cleared him even, but I got a massive hit in the rear and got spun around. And unfortunately, my front also got hit, as you can see on the rim. And therefore, yeah, the steering is bent completely. And yeah, it's not much more we can do this race.
But hopefully it's going to be damage that can be repaired by tomorrow?
Yeah, definitely. It's possible to repair it. It's just uprights has to be new, and then we are ready to go. We know we have a fast car, so we'll be back tomorrow.
All right, well, bad luck today, better luck tomorrow. Thank you very much, Dennis. Back to you.
Yeah, real shame for Dennis, who's been very, very rapid, as I say, this weekend, and he'll be back, I'm sure. We've got pit stoppers. Lucas Auer's had enough after that battle that he was enjoying, or maybe not enjoying, with Thomas Preining and Maximilian Gutz and Ricardo Feller. So Auer in. There's Rolf Inischen, who came in as well. Michael Grenier also came in. So that's another 3 making their mandatory stops. Auer is going to get out ahead of Grenier, as he should do. He was well in front of him before they came in. And then Rolf Inischen, so he making a welcome return after being ill and having to miss the Norris Ring. So everybody else has had 8 weeks off. He's had, 10 weeks off racing in the DTM. So they go out. Auer, as the leading pit stopper, rejoins back in 22nd place. Somebody that's already made his pit stop is Lucas Stoltz, but of course he's trying to recover from that earlier spin, so he's quite a long way behind them in 25th of the yellow and blue HRT Mercedes. Felipe Fraga has an advantage, but the advantage has been coming down, as you can see. It was 1.9 seconds, then it was 1.5. Now it's half a second less than, with Mirko Bortolotti catching up. More fog looking to come back in here, so the track conditions with the moisture changing and the visibility changing as well. Another one popping into the pit lane just behind us. The leaders come past the commentary box. Just underneath me, they go almost nose to tail over the start-finish line here. Fraga just ahead of Bortolotti. He's a bit too far back to have a stab at the inside. Kelvin Vandalinder, he's on their pace as well in the Schubert Motorsport BMW just behind. And so too, Thomas Preining had that great move to get those 2 places into turn 2 a couple of laps ago. Having got 4th place, remember from 10th on the grid, Tommy Preining, this last lap round, set 2 of the absolute best sector times. But the fastest lap of the race last time round, back to Clement Schmidt in 17th place. So he's got the fastest lap in the number 85 red and black Grasser racing car. Fraga just ahead then. There's another Lamborghini, another GRT machine of Bert Bortolotti, and that is Philip Eng coming out of the pits. Eng is going to be the leading pit stopper, with Auer coming out next. So back to Verena in the pit lane with more news.
So I'm now here with David Schumacher. Such bad luck. I mean, waiting all day, finally racing, and then you're out. So we can also see the damage on the car. What happened? Talk us through it.
Basically, I was having a fight with Arjun down the main straight, and I just braked the same spot as I did the lap before, down the hill. But I don't know why, the car just didn't slow down, and it just went straight, and the other guy turned in, so it hit me on the side, and then smoke started coming up, so we decided to stop. But I don't know exactly what. Maybe it was the ABS, maybe I catch the wet spot, maybe I made a mistake, we will have to check.
And predictions for tomorrow, are you guys going to fix the car? The mechanics, do you think they're going to repair it?
Yeah, the car is going to be repaired for tomorrow, I guess. But yeah, it's going to be a hard work and a hard day for the team, and probably a long night stand.
All right, well, thank you very much, David, and back to you.
a very honest driver, David Schumacher. Disappointed, of course, still getting used to these types of cars, having come through single-seaters and ABS braking in particular, but there is a lot of promise there. He's going to get there for sure. Now, this is the battle between Lucas Auer and Philipp Eng. Eng came out ahead after his pit stop, but Auer, as you can see, has just got him back. There on the screen, you see a graphic to confirm the news that Dev Gore has picked up a 5-second time penalty for the incident we saw towards the start of the race. And at the head of the field, Felipe Fraga, he's only just ahead of Mirko Bortolotti, with Kelvin Vandalinder catching the pair of them up. So it's a really tight battle developing for the lead of the race. This is for the leading pit stopper, and Auer goes well wide coming out of turn 1. So the BMW of Philipp Eng draws alongside the two Austrians together, and Michael Grenier, the Canadian, and the Mercedes just behind them as well, has also made his pit stop. So these are the leading pit stoppers. A long way down the field overall, 20th, 21st and 22nd, those three. But of course, they've got their mandatory pit stop out of the way, and they're just in front of them. Arjen Maini has joined just in front, and he's getting his tyres up to temperature now as well. So he could be a bit of a sitting duck. It's not going to be easy to get the tyres up to temperature today. There's no tyre warmers. The temperature's only about 12 degrees, and there's moisture on the circuit. Tricky stuff for them. Here's the lead battle, though. Felipe Fraga just keeping Mirko Bortolotti at bay. The last lap, a 1:29.088 for the Brazilian, 1:29.286 for the Italian in second place, and 1:29.171 for the South African Vandalinder in third place. So first pulling away from second, third catching second, all tightening up. Marco Wittmann makes his pit stop. Close to getting a podium at the Nürburgring in race 2, fourth in the end, and it was really because of the time that he lost during his pit stop, but that looked fairly slick. So he's going to get out, I think, as the leading pit stopper. Is he just about? Ricardo Feller has made his pit stop as well, so he's in front of Lucas Auer. And then you've got Maro Engel joining in the pack as well. Lucas Stoltz is doing a really good job of catching them up here in the yellow and blue number 4 Mercedes, isn't he? Team HRT driver, given how far back he was after his contact and spin early on in the race. So Ricardo Feller and Marco Wittmann at the head of the pack now, having just made their pit stops, but they'll be reeled in. You can see the cars understeering. The tyres are lacking temperature, they're lacking grip. Lucas Auer's already got the tyres up to temperature on the Mercedes, and he's going to have a big go here, trying to sweep around the outside. More grip, more traction, and he takes the car around the outside of Marco Wittmann and gets the place. So the driver 5th in the championship, Lucas Auer, dispatches of 1, but he is behind Ricardo Feller, who he was just ahead of before he came in, or they both came in to make their pit stops a couple of laps apart. They're in that train, that battle. It was 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Feller was at the back of that group. Auer was just in front of him. But Feller and Abt have had a good pit stop there. So the number 7 Audi, he's the leading pit stopper from the 22 Mercedes. There goes Philipp Eng up the inside of Marco Wittmann into the chicane. Wittmann still struggling to get the tyres up to temperature. And now trying to fend off Michael Grenier, who's got to go for it, really. Up the inside into this second gear right-hander at the Hyundai end curve. And then Lucas Stoltz is going to try and sweep out wide, get the foot down, and let the car run quickly up to top speed. So he might have a go on the way into turn 1 as they come thundering through. Maro Engel has been into the pits as well, and Marco Wittmann's just about kept the door closed for now on Lucas Stoltz, but Luca, look, trying to sweep around the outside into the left-hander though. Marco Wittmann has the position for now. Lucas Stoltz though, he's still trying around the outside here. Can have the inside line for the right-hander at turn 4, nose to tail, then side by side, but Marco Wittmann just about keeps him at bay for now. Taking a long time. It always takes a good half a lap, 3/4 of a lap to get the tyres up to temperature, but because of the low temperatures, because of the grease on the circuit, because it's taking even longer. So Wittmann doing a really good job there actually, and more rain in the air. Lights on for the Ferrari driven by Felipe Fraga, former Brazilian stock car champions and a couple of seasons GT racing. He goes through. You've got Esteban Moot coming into the pits now for Volkenhorst. Theo Uverhaus has already made a stop on his DTM debut, so that'll be all 3 of the Volkenhorst BMWs now having made their stop. Henry Volkenhorst's team, the onboard there from the 2nd place car, the championship leader. Mirko Bortolotti said, if I get a chance for a race win, championship lead or not, I'm going to go for it. That much is clear, he said to Verena earlier on when we were waiting for the race to get started. Right, here's Esteban Moot coming out of the pits. got his best ever finish in the DTM here last year in his first season, a 5th place at the Nürburgring, but driving the T3 Motorsport Lamborghini, and you can see he's crawling to get the tyres up to temperature. So fella's already just dived around the outside of him, the car really twitching and dancing as he went into turn 2 as well. And nose to tail it is for the lead of the race, clattering the curbs as he's been doing all weekend long. Here is Mirko Bortolotti. Felipe Fraga careful of the car, doesn't want to damage it, but the quickest way over those curbs is to leapfrog them, and Thomas Priding pushing hard as well. He said to me this morning, I really enjoy that section of the track. You've really got to throw the car over it, but it is easy to damage the underneath of the car. But he said, for me, the Porsche is at its best through the lower speed corners at turns 1, 2, 3 and 4. Loads of traction there. This is Kelvin Vandalinder versus Nick Cassidy, and the South African on the inside line in the Audi should hold the position unless he goes too wide on the exit. He doesn't, he keeps it together and stays just ahead of the man from Auckland, former Super GT champion, all over him at the moment, but the Audi stays ahead. Those two battling for 8th and 9th positions, so both making their way up the order. It's been good progress in particular from 2/3 of the way down the field for Nick Cassidy. One Ferrari on the attack in the midfield, another Ferrari on the defence at the head of the field here. Two great Italian brands, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Felipe Fraga and Mirko Bortolotti, both in their first season of DTM. Felipe said to me yesterday, I'm fairly confident about the second half of the season. The car is good at the remaining tracks. Went pretty well here in the test a week ago, which most teams took part in, and he said Spa, I really think the car will be good at Spa. And there, as Thomas Priding, this is the chicane, goes out through and might be headed for the pits. He is in the Porsche, yeah, going for the pit lane now. So Tommy Priding, first of the front runners after Ricardo Feller to come in and make his pit stop as the top 3 now, almost together, go over the start-finish line. Down to Verena then, who's caught up with somebody down in the pit lane.
And I'm here with a man who I think is very disappointed, but also furious. Nico Müller, you look very, very furious. What happened from your point of view?
Well, you know, it was slippery out there the first few laps. We all struggled to get the tires up to temp. Some cars struggled a bit more than others, but we were just trying to find our rhythm. And there was a very unnecessary contact with René at the exit of turn 1. I don't know what he tried to do, but he just drove into my rear right on the exit of a corner, which caused a puncture, and here we are. So I don't know, you know, why you would do things like that. It's just completely unnecessary, but he got away with it, and we are sitting here. So I guess that's the way you have to do it.
All right, Nico, thank you very much. Back to you.
Thanks, Verena. Yeah, very, very disappointed, disgruntled Nico Müller there, the two-time DTM runner-up in 2019 and 2020, both times, of course, to René Rast, with whom he's just had that coming together, which has put Nico out of the race. And while that was happening, we saw a shot of Tommy Priding's Porsche, I'm afraid, in the garage. So we saw him pinning into the pit lane. He missed the chicane, then went into the pit lane, but it was a problem with the car. A great shame after a really positive start to the race to go from 10th to 4th. So the Nürburgring race winner, Thomas Priding, a retirement, I'm afraid. He drops out. Felipe Fraga versus Mirko Bortolotti. The battle at the head of the field that continues to keep on giving, but it's a three-way party now because Sheldon Vandalinder has caught them up in the BMW, and this is what it's all about these days in the DTM. Look at this, 3 different brands fighting for the lead of the race, with 3 different nationalities of drivers fighting for the lead of the race as well, and a 4th brand in the Mercedes of Maximilian Gotz catching them up. He's there in 4th now. René Rast promoted to 5th. Laurens van Toor going well in the SSR Performance Porsche in 6th. Kelvin Vandalinder and Nick Cassidy still battling, but now for 7th place. And then Maximilian Buch looking for his first points of the season in the Mercedes run by Peter Muka's team, Muka Motorsport, there in 9th place. And Marius Sugg going well in 10th. He's just off the pace, off the back of Buch as well, and in the points at the moment, looking for his first championship points as well. That Marius Sugg, who went well in cold, slippery conditions in the pre-season test and media day at Hockenheim all those months ago. So Marius Sugg showing some great form here in the Attempter Racing Audi. And then behind him, we've got Alessio Deleda is one of the drivers that's made up the most places in races so far today. He's 12th. 13th is Dev Gore, but with a 5-second penalty. The rest have all made pit stops, and in comes Sheldon Vandalinder to make his pit stop, with visibility going down again over that lap. There are certain parts of the course where it looks worse, others where it's not too bad, but over on our side of the circuit, the pit lane entry, folks coming in a little bit more now as Sheldon Vandalinder makes his way in to make his pit stop. His battle is going to be with Riccardo Fella, who's in 14th place, and the first of the pit stoppers. Bortolotti squeezing every last ounce of acceleration and power out of the Lamborghini, but he cannot find a way past the Ferrari. No mistakes here so far from Felipe Fraga. He's driven the perfect defensive race since he got the lead midway around that first lap. Right, rears then fronts changed by the Schubert Motorsport team, who've had some good pit stops this year. And out comes Sheldon. He's going to rejoin behind Dev Gore, who's not involved in the lead battle. There's the team radio. So he's well clear of Riccardo Fella. And yes, he's got to get his tyres up to temperature, but he shouldn't have a problem. He's still going to be well clear of him. Marius Sugar's come in and made his pit stop. And he's in the thick of the action here, look, because he's come out behind Riccardo Fella. Skids out wide because his tyres aren't up to temperature at turn 1, so Auer gets him. I'm pretty sure Philip Engi's going to get past him as well. But good stuff, that. Sheldon Vandalinder is the leading pit stopper. A few seconds behind him is that man, Riccardo Fella, who made his pit stop fairly early on in the window. Then it's going to be Lucas Auer as the third of the pit stoppers. And then it should be Philippe Eng and potentially Michael Grenier. But in amongst them is going to be Marius Sug. So he's certainly on for some championship points here. Right, get the car, get the tyres up to temperature is the job now for the next lap and a half for Sheldon Vandalinder. And keep it on the road because it is very tricky out there. Damp patches here and there, moisture in the air, visibility not at its greatest, shall we say. And a real challenge for the drivers. So Felipe Fraga leading. He said to me this morning that win at the Nürburgring was hard work. He said, that was a long race, 55 minutes plus a lap around a street circuit. I really had to work hard for that, but he's doing a great job here at the head of the field. We've got another driver to catch up with down in the pit lane. Here to talk us through it is Verena Vries.
Thomas fighting. Thomas, what happened? Why did the race end?
Yeah, we had some damage to the splitter. It's just bad luck, honestly. We were so quick. I managed to go all the way to P4, I think. So this was very positive. We showed what we can do. Unfortunately, we were left unrewarded today, but I'm positive we can come back tomorrow.
And the visibility and the conditions out there, what is it like?
This was easy going, but I already said at the regular starting time we could drive, but here we are. The race is now, and that's how it is.
All right, so looking forward to tomorrow. Better luck. Thank you very much, Thomas. Back to you.
Yeah, real shame for Thomas because he's got real momentum at the moment, hasn't he? And while we were hearing from Thomas, a great battle going on between Laurens Vanthoor and Sheldon Vandalinder. Felipe Fraga then in from the lead of the race. Bortolotti picks up the lead. Rast moves up to second. Kelvin Vandalinder and Nick Cassidy will move up to third and fourth. Also in the pits is Maximilian Gutz. So Vanthoor in the Porsche, while we're hearing from Tommy Pryning, came out just in front of Sheldon Vandalinder. So he's had a great pit stop.
You have brand new tires, so we'll be slippery, no pressure. We need every second of pace you can get now.
No pressure, it's going to be slippy. We need every ounce of pace we can get out of you. So Fraga rejoins, Maximilian Gutz rejoins. They are effectively first and second. They've got their pit stops out of the way, but they've got to get the tyres up to temperature. Sheldon Vandalinder, who came out, or he came down into turn 1 a lap ago, just behind the very quick stopping Porsche of Laurens Vanthoor, but he got in pretty quickly. But Vanthoor is effectively a net fourth at the moment. Others, of course, still to make their pit stop could get ahead of him, like Bortolotti and Rast. But it's looking good here for Laurens Vanthoor. He's the driver that's made up the most places in races so far this year. Qualifying has generally been disappointing. Bortolotti and Rast coming in 1 lap later than their rival Felipe Fraga. So key now is the pit stop for the Grasser Racing team. Gottfried Grasser's team, the Austrian team. Coming into the pits is their man, Mirko Bortolotti, the championship leader. Third in the championship, René Rast, the only driver in the top 8 to score 2 sets of points at the Nürburgring, and they were both podium finishes. Devgor kind of in the mix here as well, isn't he? Holding his own here with Felipe Fraga. But Devgor yet to make a mandatory stop. He's got this 5-second penalty as well. Tyres lit from René Rast, but he's going to come out behind Mirko Bortolotti. So Bortolotti and Fraga were nose to tail before this all started a lap or so ago, or 2 laps ago now, and Bortolotti is effectively going to pick up the lead, but Fraga made sure he got ahead of Rast. Rast is going to slip wide through the first corner. You've got Kelvin Vandalinder and Maximilian Götz going side by side just behind as well. BMW up the inside, Mercedes around the outside going into the left-hander at turn 2. I think Sheldon's just about there. And look at this, around the outside goes the Ferrari of Felipe Fraga to get that effectively lead of the race back from Bortolotti. Even though he came into the first corner a good 10 car lengths back, Bortolotti has got to wait patiently to get those tyres up to temperature. He's got Devgor breathing down his neck, but he's also got behind him as well René Rast. So Fraga, he's benefited, hasn't he, during that period, because he was only 3 or 4 tenths of a second ahead of Mirko Bortolotti before he made his pit stop the previous lap, and now he's 4 or 5 car lengths clear of him and pulling away as it stands because he's got his tyres up to temp. Rast versus Vandalinder is the next battle to keep an eye on. Then Sheldon, of course, has got his tyres up to temperature from his pit stop a few laps ago. He's got more grip. He gets the car turned in and the BMW moves ahead of the Audi, having already dispatched of the number 1 Mercedes of Maximilian Götz. So Götz there and Vantour just behind in the Mercedes and Porsche will now queue up behind the Audi of the 3-time champion, the 25-time DTM race winner, René Rast, still working to get his tyres up to temperature. Another half a lap and they should be thereabouts, but it's going to be a tough half a lap for him to keep them at bay. He holds the inside line. Look how much clearer the Ferrari of Felipe Fraga is. Coat on the grid, he was absolutely freezing. These are not temperatures he's used to. Not temperatures we're used to in Europe after the last couple of weeks where it's been 36, 37 degrees. But what a battle this is. And Laurens Vantour with a great move up the inside, but he's clipped the back of René Rast. And Rast sent into a spin in the Audi. Keeps the engine running, drops 3 places, but crucially drops a lot of time as well. Vantour wasn't really battling Rast. He was trying to get at the inside of the other machine, and has he got damage as well potentially because he's slowed up as well, hasn't he? And that could be splitter damage, it could be tyre damage to the front of the car, but a move didn't quite happen, I'm afraid, for Laurens Vantour, and he's going to drop back behind the pair of them. So he's trying to get at the inside of the Mercedes was what he was trying to do, of Maximilian Götz, but he just went a bit too deep into the corner. It is very hard to get the car stopped because it's so slippery out there. And he just clattered into the left rear corner of René Rast. Great reactions from the reigning champion Götz to go and let the car drift around the outside, wasn't it? Because he very nearly got collected by the Audi. So that was quick thinking from Maxi. It was almost a mega move that from Laurens Vantour. He just couldn't get the car slowed down in time because of the circuit conditions, and it won't be a massive surprise for you to hear that incident under investigation. But actually, it looks like Laurens Vantour has come off worse because he was the one slowing down quite rapidly as a result of that. So, confirmation that that's under investigation. Felipe Fraga, who's effectively the race leader, is in 5th place, but the 4 ahead of him have yet to make their pit stops. Kelvin Vandalinder leads the race at the moment, but he's got to make a pit stop still. So too Nick Cassidy in 2nd in the Ferrari, Max Buch in the Mercedes 3rd, and Alessio De Leda, the Italian, in one of the GRT Lamborghinis, 4th place at the moment, but they've all still got to come in, so they're probably going to be fighting for the minor points as Laurens Vantour, I can see out of the commentary box window, coming into the pit lane very slowly. Will he be able to get back in the race? Maybe. Will he score any points now? Probably not, I'm afraid. A tough season so far for Laurens Vantour. Quite delivered what he would have hoped as a top-line GT racer and multiple champion in various forms of GT racing as well, the Belgian driver. Double-class champion in IMSA over the last 2 or 3 seasons. So Felipe Fraga away at the moment, and it's becoming about the battle, as you can see from the graphic there, between Bortolotti and Vandalinder as Lucas Auer drifts wide in the Winward Mercedes. Teammate Maximilian Götz, easy move up the inside out of turn 11, and he gets the place, and Philip Eng is there breathing down his neck as well. So that puts Maximilian Götz up to 9th place, but that's a net 5th. Look at Lugi sweeping back to the inside, showing his nose, darting out, trying to defend and attack at the same time, but he's not going to be able to get back ahead of Maximilian Götz. He is, though, going to keep his countryman behind. Philipp Eng remains just adrift in the BMW. Those two have been tied together for much of the race, haven't they? Lucas Auer and Philipp Eng. Eng with another fast start. He's had some mega starts this year from the rolling start. Some very strong first laps, Philipp Eng. So he's fighting for some good points here if he can get them. Lucas Auer, 5th in the championship. He's going to make that Mercedes as wide as he possibly can. Lawrence Vantour still in the pits. By the way, Felipe Fraga has now got the fastest lap of... No, sorry, Mirko Bortolotti has now got the fastest lap of the race. It did belong to Lucas Auer, but 1:27.1. So maybe the track's starting to come to them a bit now. Still murky out there, but spots of rain have gone. You can see there's still some damp patches, but on the racing line, there's a bit more grip available now. There's 17 minutes still on the clock. Dev Gore going very, very slowly there in the number 12 cars. He's just letting people past because he's not really involved in their battle. I think probably not. I think he might be headed for the pits. Now, race leader Kelvin Vandalinder is about to rejoin. What can he get out of this from 13th on the grid? Fraga and Bortolotti are through, but he's going to get out just in front of his brother. Or is he? Because the BMW has a way more grip. He doesn't take the ideal line into the corner because he found his brother in the way. But Kelvin, he's in the mix here. He's going to be a net 4th and out ahead of his teammate. And if it counts for much in these conditions, he's going to have fresher tyres, of course, as well. With Ricardo Feller having come in fairly early on in the pit stop window. It's only a minute and 20 seconds before the pit window closes. So you can see Cassidy Book coming in pretty shortly as well. Alessio De Leda came in at the same time as Kelvin Vandalinder, who drifts out wide and doesn't make life too difficult for his teammates. Ricardo Feller, the Swiss driver, through the blue number 7 car, but Kelvin knows that in a lap's time the grip starts to come towards him. He might be able to get that place back, and there's, I suspected, it was into retirement for Dev Gore. Teammate Nico Müller, we know, already out after that contact with René Rast. Difficult day for Team Rosberg after a long wait to get the racing underway. Cassidy and Book have come in then towards the end of the pit stop window. So Felipe Fraga is going to pick up the overall lead of the race once again, but Bortolotti looks like he's coming back at him because Bortolotti set the absolute best first sector, the absolute best third sector in that lap, and it's a new fastest lap of the race. Bonus championship point for that as well these days. Cassidy and Book make their pit stops. Gore is headed for the pits, and the Ferrari and the Mercedes come out right in the middle of that battle between Kelvin Vandalinder and Maximilian Götz. So they're going to have a real chance of some points. Auer and Eng go around the outside, either side of Max Book, but still haven't found a way past the Ferrari of Nick Cassidy. The blue and white AlphaTauri machine very much in the mix here, though, for potential top 6, top 8 finish, which is good stuff given how far back down the grid Nick started. He's had a good drive here, but Felipe Fraga, Mirko Bortolotti, the gap coming down big time as Eng gets past now. Nick Cassidy is still getting his tyres up to temperature. 0.491 seconds. There might be quite a few points between them in the championship, but no bones about it. Felipe Fraga has not given up on the championship title. As with last year's team's champions, Red Bull AF Corsa and the Ferrari, a proven race-winning car around here. Through the chicane they go. Bortolotti, will he settle for the points, for second place and an extended championship lead? Or will he go for the race win? Well, we've seen him race this year. We've seen some pretty robust moves. We've seen some mega moves from the Italian driver. He's gone around the outside of people. He's dived at the inside of them. He's pulled off some cracking moves. And you just get the sense, if the chance comes and he believes he can do it, he'll have a go. So Felipe Fraga has got to fight hard now. He said to me that win at the Nürburgring was really hard, but the one that really got away from us was Imola when he had that contact with Lucas Auer when they were battling each other. He said the car felt fantastic that weekend. I really thought we should have got a win that weekend, but it wasn't to be. But can he get 2 on the trot now or not? Because Bortolotti is right with the Brazilian, and he's the quicker of the 2 at the moment. There's no doubt about it. Bortolotti is all over Fraga. Fraga is driving in the mirrors here to try and keep him at bay. They've got quite a big gap over Kelvin Vandalinder, who was right with them before the pit stop window, before they all came and made their stops. But it won't be long before he catches them up if they hold each other up. 3 seconds is the gap from second to third. You're on board with the second place car. Mirko Bortolotti comes out of Untitled, heads up the hill, lights ablaze. Can't quite live with the Ferrari through that section of the course. They both attack the curbs here. It's all or nothing for Felipe Fraga, who wants very much to get this win. A little jink up the inside there from Bortolotti on the way into the second gear final corner. They whip out over onto the curbs. They go up through the gears. They accelerate over the start-finish line. All the time, Kelvin Vandalinder is coming after them in the background in the Schubert Motorsport BMW. He's just done the absolute best third sector. The final part of the lap, including the chicane and the final corner. That BMW is coming to join the battle. He's only 2.1 seconds behind Bortolotti now. Behind him, a great battle in the background between Feller and Vandalinder in the 2 AB Sportsline cars, 4th and 5th. Kelvin now with his tyres up to temperature, having a really good run here from 13th on the grid. Maxi Gotts looking for his 3rd consecutive 6th place finish. He's just behind them. Auer 7th, Eng 8th, Rast 9th, Cassidy, one to watch, in 10th place on fresher tyres in the second of the Ferraris. Through the right-hander at turn 5 then, Goodyear, where they cut off the Grand Prix circuit. The Ferrari still ahead through the 3rd gear left-hander at Ravenel Curva, straight then into the right-hander at Bilstein Curva at turn 7. Get on the power early. Accelerate and climb uphill now, flat through Advan Bogan. 5th gear you've already reached at this point. You continue to accelerate, up, pushing up towards 280 kilometres an hour on the brakes, then down to second, attack the chicane. Ferrari still just ahead of Lamborghini. BMW reeling them in all the time, and Bortolotti has a big look at the inside contact, and Fraga is sent into a spin. Bortolotti spins, and Kelvin Vandalinder has got the lead of the race from 3rd place. He whips past. They're stranded on the track, lighting up the tyres. Furious is Felipe Fraga, having to go the wrong way down the track just to try and spin it around. But he's going to be way, way down the order. And Bortolotti, the championship leader, is still stranded on the inside. He had a glance at the inside at that corner on the previous lap. He had a proper go. And that is the gamble. Every overtake is a risk. And he gambled. 2nd place for the win, for the first win for him in DTM. The first win for Lamborghini in DTM. And it's a double whammy, because who is it that comes past him and picks up the lead of the race? His closest championship rival, Kelvin Vandalinder, who's got a great opportunity now to pick up his first Nürburgring win, his 3rd win of the season, his 4th career victory, and perhaps most important of all, the championship lead beckons. 10 minutes, 10 seconds, plus 1 lap to go. We had to wait a long time for this race, but what a race. It has been worth the wait. All sorts going on, drama, controversy, and that, the championship leader, out of the points for only the 2nd time this season. Both drivers will have their own point of view as to whose fault that was, but in the end, 2 did not fit into 1, and they both came unstuck. And a lap down now, Mirko Bortolotti still stranded on the track. Well, the car moved. I think he's got the engine running now, but he's just got to wait for a gap in the traffic before he can get going again, which he finally does. But a lap down for Mirko Bortolotti. Felipe Fraga rejoined in 19th place. Michael Grenier coming through shot there in 10th place is a battle as well, because that's the final championship point. Maxi Boog just behind wants that championship point, his first of the season. There's the replay. You can guarantee one driver will say he turned in on me, and the other driver will say he shouldn't have had to go up the inside there. It's pretty clear what the team and Ron Reichardt think of AF Corsa. Of course, they are going to be on the side of Felipe Fraga. Gap opened up, but he never was able to get fully alongside Bortolotti with a brave attempt. But was it the right thing to do? Well, I'm not going to criticise any move, because as a racing driver, what do you get? A split second to make these decisions. A fraction of a second. And that was what it looked like as the seas parted for Kelvin Vandalinder. He was happy about it, that's for sure. Let's go.
Yes, mate.
Third to first. 15 points becomes 25 points. Becomes the championship lead. And look at this, a 1-2 for the Vandalinder brothers. How about this? Could be a bit of history in the making, because Kelvin has fought his way ahead of Ricardo Feller. Of course, 2 places gifted with that incident, and it's a Vandalinder 1-2 at the moment, a South Africa 1-2. Ricardo Feller in third, trying to hang on to a podium. Maximilian Götz looking for his first podium of the season, having his best race of the season by a mile here. The reigning champion right behind him. I don't think he's going to be interested at all in finishing fourth in this race, so there could be some more drama yet to come. Lucas Auer is fifth, Philipp Eng is sixth, René Rast is seventh, Nick Cassidy is eighth. That's been a great drive. Marco Whitman has also had to work hard to get up the order after dropping back early on in the race. He's ninth. Michael Grenier is 10th, looking for his second points finish of the year, but he's got to try and keep Maximilian Buch just behind, and Lucas Stoltz is lurking in 12th place as well, not that far behind the pair of them. So good battle still going on further back inside the top 10. Well, Kelvin Vandalinder certainly got a nice big gap back to Ricardo Feller, but it's his brother ahead of him by 3.7 seconds. They've had moments this season and in previous seasons where they sort of run together on track, but it's never really been for a key major battle for a position. It's been one when one's come out of the pits and the other one's already made their pit stop and they've been together. We had a bit of that earlier as well. But Kelvin said, I think it was earlier this year or towards the end of last year, we never quite had that big battle in DTM yet, but it might come. Kelvin Vandalinder, though, after a really unlucky weekend at the Nürburgring, and by no means he was the only one to have a bad weekend, but he was very unlucky there. Championship leader, all going well, 0 points scored, but he's not going to give up on this championship either. It's going to have a few twists and turns. Everybody's going to have not just one bad weekend, but several bad weekends. Score big when you get the opportunity, and that is what Kelvin is doing at the moment. He's just done his best lap of the race as well, so 1:27.1, a tenth quicker than his brother. I'll tell you what, though, Kelvin is going to be delighted to finally get that first podium of the season, isn't he? From 13th on the grid. It's been another great drive from Kelvin. We've seen plenty of attacking drives last year through the field, and that's been another excellent one from him. So he's second, Ricardo Feller in third, race winner in Imola. Just keeping Götz at bay at the moment with just over 5.5 minutes to go, plus one lap at the end of what's been an action-packed race here. It really was the calm before the storm, wasn't it, when we had that 3.5-hour delay due to the fog. It's been non-stop action since then. One or two disgruntled drivers, I am sure, and a big, big moment. That's the moment of the season so far, with the championship leader, Mirko Bortolotti, trying to overtake, well, there's no doubt about it, a championship rival, Felipe Fraga. They came together, and the incident is going to be investigated at the end of the race. And the end result is that neither of them are going to score any points. And that is going to be a 6th non-point scoring race. Sorry, a 7th non-scoring race for Felipe Fraga out of 9. Only 2 finishes. One's non-start. And into the pits comes the Ferrari, and that's probably, I'm afraid, game over. Not that he's going to score any points anyway. So Felipe Fraga comes in, and he must be thinking, how much more bad luck can I have this year? How many more times is it going to go wrong? You can see it writ all over his face, the disappointment after what had been a strong drive. Bortolotti at that stage, no doubt about it, was slightly the quicker of the two, but Fraga was keeping him at bay. So that's the big talking point, but this is the result of it. A Vandalinder 1-2. Kelvin had more than his fair share of bad luck last year, that is for certain. Couldn't get rid of the bad luck, it dogged him all year long. Every time he got the car into a position, something seemed to go wrong. Kelvin Vandalinder has had plenty of bad luck this year, but this might just make up for all of it combined. Here's a replay of a move from Nick Cassidy up the inside of the 3-time champion René Rast. Nicely done that, through the hairpin. clean as a whistle, no contact. Fantastic move. So Nick Cassidy, the sole remaining Ferrari, up to 7th place now. Next target, Philipp Eng in the Schubert BMW. Schubert 1st and 6th at the moment with Kelvin Vandalinder and Philipp Eng. And he's already caught up to the tail of the Austrian. And tyres looking in really good nick now for Nick Cassidy. He's going to have a go, isn't he, on this lap or the next. He's just got more grip through the corners, into the corners. He's able to brake a bit later, get on the gas a bit earlier, and he's on a charge. So the battle here between Nick Cassidy and Philipp Eng, which is about to change places, I think, anytime soon, rages on the track, and we can head down to the pit lane.
A very disappointed Mirko Bortolotti. You were trying to get back P1, and then what happened?
Yeah, I made a mistake in the last corner. I tried to outbrake Felipe there, and it was a bit wet, so I lost the front, and unfortunately we touched. So I'm, yeah, really disappointed. I'm sorry for the team. Also sorry to Felipe. I didn't want to destroy his race, of course. Just a bad day. No, nothing else I can say.
Thank you very much, Mirko. Back to you.
Well, hats off to Mirko Bortolotti. It must have taken a lot for him to just be as honest as that. You can see how gutted he is, but he holds his hands up. He says, my mistake, I tried the move, hit a damp patch, which is totally understandable given that you can see they're still on the track, and he just couldn't get the car slowed down. Did it on purpose, tried the move. Every move, as I say, is a risk. If you never take the risk, you never get the positions, but it didn't work out, and he's apologise there to Felipe Fraga as Nick Cassidy squeezes up the inside of Philipp Eng at turn 3 into turn 4 they go. The BMW all over the curbs to try and hold the position. The Ferrari out wide, and look who's coming after the pair of them, and they all contact with each other, but it's going to be René Rast picking up 2 places here with a smart bit of driving, but then still 3 abreast on the way through turn 5. The BMW of Eng back ahead of the Audi of Rast, and the Ferrari of Nick Cassidy trying to get back in the mix as well. What battles we've had today. Eng somehow keeps them both behind him. Incredible driving that. And look in the mirrors, everybody. There's a big green and white BMW coming your way as way out wide and through the gravel trap with all 4 wheels goes René Rast. Damage to the front right of the car. The BMW of Marco Whitman is surely going to get past him on the run up the hill in towards the chicane. Final minute left on the clock in this 55-minute plus 1 lap race. Sure enough, Whitman is through, and René Rast just trying to bring the car home now, a bit like he did at Nürburgring, where he got to 3rd place, but with a slow puncture towards the end of the race. It's going to be nursing the car time now. But what a battle that was. And meanwhile, here's another one which has been happening for a while. And Maximilian Gutz around the outside of Ricardo Fella. One intention to get the inside line for turn 2. Ricardo knows exactly what's coming, so he covers the line off in the Audi and stays ahead for now. This, of course, is for the final podium position. Ricardo Fella under attack here from the 2021 champion. Gotts going left, going right, trying to find a gap, trying to put the pressure on, trying to make the Swiss make a mistake. He's going to have a lap and a half at the end of this to find a way through, because the clock is about to tick down to 0. So the next time Kelvin Vandalinder goes over the line, it's going to be to start the final lap of what's been a scintillating race here in Germany. There is the race leader, Kelvin Vandalinder, catching him. 2.1 seconds the difference between them. And what a day this is going to be for them. Ricardo Fella is 3rd just because Maximilian Gotz is still all over him, but a bit more breathing space coming out through Ad van Bogen this time for the Audi. Flashing the lights of the old touring car trick comes Maxi Gotz to try and distract Ricardo Fella, but he's having none of it. This is going to be an interesting final lap, isn't it? They both desperately want that podium. I'd suggest maybe even more so Maximilian Gotz, because he hasn't had one this year. Hasn't had one since that weekend at the Nürburgring at the end of 2021. So through onto the final lap of the race have gone the Vandalinder brothers. You can almost hear the roars coming from South Africa, can't you? Because it's going to be a momentous 1-2 finish for them if they can just deal with the next 3 kilometres with no dramas. But what about who's going to join them on the podium? Fella or Gutz? Auer try to catch them up and pick up any pieces if they make contact with one another, but they're 2 fair drivers, these, and if Max is going to do it, it's going to be the clean way. Ricardo Fella just ahead, enough going into the right-hander as they turn off the Grand Prix circuit. Goes up through the gears now. Runs a bit wide onto the curbs, a bit ragged because he's been pushed all the way here. But here comes Sheldon Vandalinder. Here comes Kelvin Vandalinder. The checkered flag is almost upon us. And it is going to be the biggest roar you have ever heard from the country of South Africa pretty soon, because they're going to take a 1-2 finish. Brothers taking a 1-2 finish. And look into the chicane for the final time comes Ricardo Feller. He's just ahead of Maximilian Gotz. The flag awaits. Sheldon Vandalinder back into the championship lead. Wins here at the Nürburgring. It's a 1-2 for the Vandalinders.
Oh yes, baby! 1-2 Joe, let's go! Yes!
What a day!
So save you, mate. Save you and try to find some pickup.
The team radio from Sheldon Vandalinder erupting in joy, emotion. He must have thought at the Norris Ring, not again, not bad luck again, not after last year, but he's kept his head high and he's come up. Trump's there, a win, back into the points lead. His championship rival out to the points. His biggest championship rival, that is Mirko Bortolotti. And who would you wish for to be next to you on the podium? None other than your brother. And his brother has got his teammate alongside him on the podium, because Ricardo Feller was able to fend off Maximilian Gotz on that final run out of the final turn. An historic moment, a 1-2 finish in the DTM. South African drivers first and second for the first time in DTM history, and the brothers take a 1-2 finish. Only 1.9 seconds behind them in the end. Kelvin kept the pressure up. They're brothers, they're the best of friends, they go on holiday together, they live together, and now they can celebrate together. Unbelievable race. Well, your patience, everybody, I think it's fair to say, has been rewarded. The weather was against us all day long. We've had one race today on this track, but what a cracker it has been. Well, fastest lap point, third time he's done it this year, goes to Mirko Bortolotti, so he will get the one championship point with the Auto Hero fastest lap of the race. He's the only driver, in fact, this year to get more than one fastest race lap, but that is not going to cheer up Mirko after huge disappointment for him and for Felipe Fraga with that incident at the final turn. So one championship point will move him on to 90 points, but 25 championship points about to come the way of Sheldon Vandalinder, which is going to move him on to 105 points in the championship lead. Confirmation of the results then of the top 10 finishers in the points. Sheldon Vandalinder with his third win of the season, the only driver to win more than one race this year. Kelvin Vandalinder second, Ricardo Feller third, Maximilian Gotz fourth, Lucas Sauer in fifth, sixth was Philip Eng, great drive from Philip. Nick Cassidy, really good drive from near the back of the field to seventh. Marco Whitman in eighth, René Rast battling in ninth place. Michael Grenier into the points in 10th, just ahead of Maximilian Buch, who misses out on his first point of the season. Clement Schmidt was 12th, Esteban Moot was 13th, Marius Sugg 14th, Arjun Maini 15th, Maro Engel on his birthday in 16th, Stoltz, Inichen, Overhaus and Deleda, and there is the joy. The celebrations begin here at the Nürburgring. They could not be happier for each other. They really couldn't. What a moment. Sheldon Vandalinder wins championship lead. Kelvin gets his first podium. Don't forget to get Wade. And a very happy Ricardo Feller in third place. Great relationship that he has with the team in his first season with Kelvin Vandalinder. He's been really impressive this year as well. All sorts of pressure thrown at him on that final lap. Well done, team. You've had to wait a long day it has been. I'm so pleased for everybody watching at home and everybody watching online and everybody, especially here at the circuit. They've had a very long day that they got to see some racing in the end, and it's all credit to the organisers. And he can't quite believe it, can he? All sorts of emotions there. Where did that come from? Where did the win come from? And in fairness, he was catching those two anyway, wasn't he? Let's not say it was a lucky win, because he was catching the Fraga-Bortolotti battle. So he might have won it anyway, you never know. But That was a nice way to go from third to first from his point of view, wasn't it? Didn't have to work to get those positions. And just had to keep cool with his brother coming after him for the last 4 or 5 laps of the race. How about that? Start of the weekend, BMWs were not particularly quick yesterday in free practice 1. Ended up winning the race. Kelvin Vandalinder with his 4th career victory. There he is, helmet off. Kelvin's still got the helmet on. The team have been hugged, congratulated. There's more hugging, there's more, all sorts going on in that. How are we going to piece together highlights from this? I don't know, because it was all happening, wasn't it? It was one of the moments, wasn't it? The 3 abreast moment, or one of them, between Rast, Eng and Cassidy towards the end of the race. Racing today was super close and a bit too close at times, wasn't it? That was what happened to the front right corner, the bodywork on Rennie Rast's car, as he got close to the BMW of Philipp Eng, then he ran out wide. Cassidy trying to get past the pair of them. Gutsy drive from Philipp Eng though to keep them both behind, wasn't it, to hang on to that 6th place finish. And a slightly second-hand looking car in the end for Rennie Rast, but it's a couple more championship points for him as well. And Rennie will also move closer to Mirko Bortolotti. Podium celebrations about to begin then, and I think it's going to be a very raucous podium here. Ricardo Feller is first up. Delighted with that. It's ex-DTM star Harold Gross that presents the first of our trophies here at the Nürburgring. Now it's about to get very, very loud because Kelvin Vandalinder, big smile, makes his way, or will do eventually, up onto the 2nd step of the podium. High fives and hugs from his teammate. And star of 2-wheel MotoGP racer Alex Hoffman presents the trophy to Kelvin Vandalinder. That'll feel like a win, won't it? From 13th place. If you have to finish 2nd, it might as well be to your young brother. There is going to be a proper roar now because we've got the winning team trophy for Schubert Motorsports, who have been mega today. All the teams have been mega, haven't they, in the patience they've had to show. So well done to Schubert Motorsport. They get the winning teams trophy. Teams championship leaders, and it's Norbert Haug, who we saw earlier, that presents the trophy, the ex-Mercedes boss. But the loudest roar of all, put your fingers in your ears, everybody, it's about to get super noisy here at the Nürburgring, because onto the top step of the podium is Kelvin Vandalinder. A 1-2 for South Africa, a 1-2 for the family, and an unbelievable race. Kelvin Vandalinder onto the top step. Norbert Haug presents him with the trophy. Gives high fives to all 3 drivers. And a huge proud moment now for the Vandalinders and for the country of South Africa, because we're about to get the race winners' national anthem here at the Nürburgring.
Kelvin Vandalinder aus Südafrika.
The South African national anthem as South Africa 1-2. Kelvin Vandalinder back into the championship lead in the most dramatic of circumstances. The 3 drivers now share top step of the podium. It's going to be hard work getting them all to the press conference, I reckon. They're going to have lots to say to each other, to all their teammates and mechanics and engineers and team principals. But they are going to be overjoyed to be making their way to that press conference. They share the top step of the podium. The trophies are put down carefully, and the champagne is about to flow here at the Nürburgring. Still very misty, very foggy Nürburgring. There he goes then. Champagne absolutely everywhere. Quite a few of the photographers getting a proper soaking as well. Proper soaking in the background. So too anybody in that vicinity. And, well, you've just witnessed a piece of history, everybody. The most bizarre of days up until that point. and numerous talking points in the race. But provisionally, here we go. Kelvin Vandalinder, 105 championship points. Mirko Bortolotti should move on to 90 with the fastest lap of the race. René Rast, third on 81, picks up a couple of points. Lucas Auer moves to fourth in the championship. Ricardo Feller up to fifth place. Nico Müller dropping from fourth down to sixth place in the championship table. And Tommy Preining dropping out of the top 10 after his bad luck with the car earlier on in the race as well. So we'll get some reaction pretty shortly. With the Vandalinders, I'm sure, but let's have a look at some of the images from what was a race well worth waiting for in the end. On the grandstands, they charged through the first corner of the first lap of the race, and actually after all the waiting, it was a very clean start from pretty much everybody through that first turn, but it was afterwards that all the carnage began. Right, let's get some reaction then down in the pit lane from the podium with Verena.
All right, so I've got some South African power right here with Sheldon and Kelvin. You guys are just, wow, what a crazy day, what a crazy race. And after all this waiting, come on, Sheldon, it was worth the wait, wasn't it?
Absolutely, man. Honestly, I don't think I've ever been speechless, but today is one of those days, man. Honestly, on the radio, my engineer actually opened the radio before me, before I could start screaming in the radio. And as soon as he closed the channel, I was literally screaming as loud as I could. Then I saw Kelvin next to me, like pulling up, man. This is what we've been dreaming for our whole lives long. And we said this whole year that that's our goal, is to be on the podium together. Obviously for the championship for myself, it's amazing. So I don't think I've ever been this happy in my life. I honestly can't believe it.
Were you singing or screaming? We weren't quite sure in the radio. Maybe both.
I think a bit of screaming, which sounded like singing probably. Bad singing.
But it was fantastic.
Exactly.
I mean, so much emotion we got here. Same with you. I mean, you came from P13 to
P20. We were P20 of the first lap, yeah.
That is crazy. And then coming to P2, so for you, it must also feel just like magic.
You know, I didn't win today, but this is probably the happiest day of my life. I honestly, this is what dreams are made of. When you're standing with your best mate, your brother on the podium. If mom and dad, you guys are watching, I'm so proud of you guys, and thank you so much for everything. And I'm speechless, honestly, to be up here. I've won here 24-hour race. I've won here in DTM, but I don't think this day can ever be topped. The only way it can be better is if I win and Sheldon finishes second, but we'll have to work. We'll have to work on that one for next year.
But then again, I mean, we've got another race tomorrow, so who knows? What's your prediction? It's going to be tougher, obviously, but what do you think?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, we both have the weight in for tomorrow, so it'll naturally be difficult, but good qualifying, and then we try to hustle it out. Let's see.
And what about you, Sheldon, for tomorrow? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we have the waiting for tomorrow, but I'm not worried about tomorrow right now. I'm just trying to take in the moment right now, just enjoy it as much as possible. So as my brother said, shout out to my mom and dad. Love you guys so much. Thanks for giving us the chance. And yeah, I get goosebumps when I say this.
I'm getting goosebumps because thanks to you two for this amazing show. That's what we waited for so long today. Thank you so much. And now here's a commentator.
Thanks very much indeed. Yeah, I'm sure Mum and Dad, Sean and Bernie will be watching, will be listening. And I bet there's not a dry eye in the house. Amazing result for the family, for both the teams, of course. They're in different teams, different brands. But as a nation, South Africa, hugely, hugely proud. They've got two real talents there. So they can't quite believe it. They're going to have to come down sooner or later because they've got to do it all again tomorrow, hopefully in slightly more normal circumstances in terms of race start times and getting a qualifying session and all of that. But as Kelvin said, well, 13th on the grid, but yeah, didn't have a great first lap, did he? So it was a long way down the order early on, but another drive. We've seen plenty of them from Kelvin over the last year and a half in DTM, and prior to that, a real gutsy drive to come through and pick up second place. And then Ricardo Feller making it a very happy day for Abt Sportsline with a 2-3 finish, rounding out the podiums. Championship lead changes. It's here, everybody, the start of the second half of the season, and it has started with a proper bang. Round 9 of DTM 2022, one that's going to be talked about, I think, for a long, long time to come, and it could just be a pivotal moment in this year's championship. There might be many, many more to come over the next few weeks. Audi then moving on to 275 points in the manufacturer's standings. Well clear now of Mercedes on 203, BMW third on 196 points. In terms of the team standing, Schubert Motorsport already had the lead, but Ab Sportsline have now moved up into second place ahead of GRT, because the Grasser Racing team obviously didn't score any points there after Mirko Bortolotti had that coming together with Felipe Fraga. So 144 points. They have the edge. A really disappointing day for SSR Performance as well. A day which could have delivered a couple of really good results there, but Lawrence Van Toor and Dennis Olsen both coming unstuck with contact in the race, and both of them retiring in the end. So it has been an action-packed day after a very, very quiet, long wait. It was worth the wait. It was sensational. From me, Chris Hartley, in the commentary box, that's it for now. Let's hand back to Verena.
It certainly was worth the wait, and a man who's very happy is Riccardo Fella, because you made third place coming from P7. So how thrilled are you?
Well, I'm super happy, obviously. What a day it was, waiting all the time. I was pretty sure, like I told you before, that we will not race. So I'm happy that we actually raced, because now standing on the podium again, good points for the championship. Amazing 1-2 from the Vandalinders. So yeah, a good day in summary.
Absolutely. I mean, there was so much emotion up here on the podium just now. And now looking at tomorrow, I mean, tomorrow's race, you made third place today. What are your expectations or your hope for tomorrow? Obviously, it'd be nice to repeat podium, right?
Yeah, it would be amazing, but super tough. So yeah, let's see. Let's try our best to get some, again, some important points for the championship. Let's see what the weather does. I think tomorrow will be better.
I hope so.
Now we just enjoy the moment, and then yeah, we go back to work later.
All right, thank you so much, Riccardo.
Thank you.
And I mean, seriously, what an exciting race day here at the Nürburgring with all the fog. Who would have thought that would just clear out like that and we would have such a spectacular race here today? And now we really are looking forward to tomorrow, and I'm sure it's going to be just as exciting, just with no fog, please. So enjoy the highlights of the day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.